Good evening, one and all. It's 2025. Happy New Year. We at the Four Nations are here with promotions and relegations, the most exciting time of the year. Two teams from Division 2 have fought their way through autumn, winter, and naming convention, developing as we go. And now, to look into winter 25, they must face the bottom two of Division 1. I'm Temporal, and I'm joined here with Luna tonight. We've got a best of 3 to show you.
We do, and it's going to be a very interesting best of 3, no less. Division 2's Titans and winners in RIZE Gaming face off against DMG Esports UK from Division 1, who had a less than kind of, I guess, expected showing.
Right, wasn't it? It was just okay.
It was fine. It wasn't anything amazing, but it wasn't standout. And I think when you look at some names that were on that roster, standout is kind of what you expected, with some of them being longer term names in the UK scene. Some name change, some not.
Yeah, with their original IDs, part and parcel. We got a few minutes before we get into draft, and I'm super excited. You know, it's going to be a close one in my mind. You know, RIZE did have a very good split, but also I don't think DMG are going to be pushovers. There's sort of a bit of a struggle to be overcome there.
Absolutely, there is, and I think that same can be said for any situation where you have a team from a higher division going up against a team of a lower division, right? Relative level is going to be much harder to gauge. You know, Division 1 could have been the hardest Division 1 we could have possibly had. Division 2 could have been one of the weakest sections of Division 2 we've ever had. You know, there's always outside factors that come into play, but what matters is who plays better on the Rift today and who can take themselves that step closer to either maintaining or attaining a spot in Division 1 for the upcoming split.
Okay, we might be going to Zoe in the helicopter in a second. If we have the bracket ready, I might explain the format. Might start explaining the format anyway and just do our best. This is completely my fault. Not been very well, but we're here now. And yeah, when it comes to the UK and promotions, relegations, tense moments outside of our normal playoffs, Synergy, big boss man, is a fan of this format, as am I. From StarCraft's past, it's the GSL bracket that we use in these situations. So we had 2 teams come down, 2 teams going up, and 4 teams means it's GSL elimination. This format means you get randomly paired in the first round. Well, we had seeds for this one, but you know, if you were a Korean in code A right now, you might be randomly paired or seeded. 2 wins required to proceed. So you can go to an upper bracket or lower bracket out of your first game, where you then face promotion or elimination. And the 2 teams at 1-on-1 face in the final match. Those will be over the next few nights. Tonight, we have both teams starting off with their first best of 3. Can only show you the one between RIZE and DMG, sadly. We do have 200 Bandits up against
Broad and Friends, I believe.
Broad and Friends, my mild brain freeze. Everyone loves Broad and Friends, except me when I can't read. They are still playing tonight, and then tomorrow we will, from tomorrow on over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be having 1 more each of those games, depending who wins and loses. And Luna, step 1 to winning a game of League of Legends is picking some champions.
Certainly is, and picking good champions would be, you know,
we love champions.
We love champions, but we like good champions more than bad champions, because bad champions hurt Luna's soul and make her go into a spiraling despair, which we might see, because Hui's still open.
It's just step 1, though, and frankly, my opinion on the patch...
Wow, this patch is something.
I have played full tank, Mage's top, and gained about 300 LP.
Do you reckon we'll see Tank Jace?
Tank Jace, Flandre, you absolute madman. I've enjoyed it so much. I think you could just do it on anything. It's so
We're in a
fun.
tank meta, ladies and gentlemen.
We do have some target events coming away here. Some junglers away for Rigged, who had fantastic performances. His Hecarim pretty standout. His Karthus struggled up and down during the regular split. I think I cast that game, but was a force within there. 2 A's taken away for DMG.
Yeah.
DDD, pretty strong on the Ashe. Pretty nice to have that engaged from the AD carry position. Hawkeye's Jinx, feared all these years later.
Okay, chill.
Some target bans coming through. Let's see what the teams prioritize. I don't think we've seen tournament level play on this patch.
no energy for
Don't believe
broadcasts.
so.
I'm just like,
Last
my brain's
patch
just
of
like,
the year
oh,
we
just go
rarely
hang out
ever
with your
do.
friends instead.
But this
Like, what if
is
you just like
honestly
ditched this
expected.
and just
Corki's
went and
still
like,
a solid
I mean, not that
pickup
I'm not
in the
hanging
AD
out with
carry
one,
position.
but
Less
like, what if you
so
went
in
and
mid
like,
lane nowadays,
what
but
if you
as
went
a
and like
stat check
kissed all
champion
your
that
hot
kind of does
friends
similarly to what
instead?
a Samira or
I
a
wish you did
Kalista would
that.
do
I'm
in the
like,
early
oh,
stages
that
of the
sounds like
game
a good
with
idea,
better
actually.
scaling. Corki is what you're looking for.
I have also played it top.
But yeah, no, it was a real good
Turns
night.
out if your
Real good couple
opponent
nights,
like
actually.
picks one of these funny like
Yeah, we didn't
I want a tank on a
we didn't
bruiser
sleep
setups
on New
or
Year's
sort of the Warmogs champions,
because we'd
Corki
maybe
just deals so much
ingest
damage in
some
the wave, and
stimulants,
it is
perhaps.
viable. It is ready to
Yeah,
play. The
as you
elephant
might
in
do
the
at a New
room,
Year's party.
Victor nerfed multiple times since his arcaning.
There are like
I don't think we're
there
going to
are
be
a
nice
couple
to
of
you in
real
spoilers
highlights
tonight.
of the night.
It has been a few weeks. Get your
I
Netflix
got tarot
subscription
reading.
sorted if you
Oh,
haven't
fuck.
seen it.
Yeah, we've hit
Thank
that
you.
point where
Seen that,
I
series
think
already.
period of safe discussion has passed.
That
But
might right.
spoiler warning just in
Tangent,
case.
massive tangent. Spoilers tonight for free. But I have 3 siblings. I love all of my siblings. My brother kind of knows what League of Legends is. I tried to get him to play it when we were younger, about 10 years ago. My 2 littlest sisters do not know what League of Legends is. They know I like it. And my littlest sister just turns around and goes, "You know what Arcane is?" I aged so much this Christmas. She knows who Victor is, though, so that's really cool. Orianna coming through. It's okay to the Victor. Orianna suffers this matchup a little more now that Victor's ultimate, like hers, actually can command a team fight. The Mundo Hava wouldn't be surprised to see it come in here. Another one of these champions that does not go down while assailing from long range.
Especially into Victor and Ezreal, 2 champions notoriously terrible at taking down these big health tanks because their items have been gutted for it. It forces Victor into Leandries with very long cooldowns that's very hard to make work properly, and Ezreal with Blade of the Ruin King and Cyrilda's both being nerfed outside of what he wants, very hard to get that damage out as well. The Gwen going to come through. Possible flex between both Shmion and Matt in top and jungle there. Could go either way.
Now, if I'm RIZE Gaming, I've seen, the 3 lanes kind of stacked out here. I know that if I want a support, the Rel is on the table, the Rakan is on the table. I want to command a team fight here as DMG Esports. So wouldn't be surprised to see that take that away. The Leona similarly, it's not the control through, but it is in the engage from long away. It's locking down a carry. So we no longer have to worry about that. DMG Esports, who are they going to ban, Luna? What's the theme?
I think you want to take away like slippery. Because the thing with Ezreal Gwen is they are very slippery. They're very difficult to catch. If you add something like a Rakan into that mix, suddenly you have one person you can reliably kill, and it's this Victor, and he's so far away that you're not going to get to him anyway without your Mundo just kind of going.
Walks menacingly forwards. Floats, shall we say, to the top of a tower. I think they're kind of iterating on that, aren't they? They don't want RIZE to sort of take one of these supports that counters your Leonas, your Rels, the Braum, like stands up to them pretty well. The concussive blows deal nicely with that sort of champion. So they're sort of going second level. I don't expect to see that change here. Maybe a Lulu taken away, something to guide those champions forwards, or maybe we just hate supports with big strong buttons.
Grr. Don't want big go buttons, which to be fair makes a lot of sense. RIZE need a big go button here because they can't actually fight at current state.
Yeah. We got lots of
Rakan
nice bits,
kind of,
but no stay
yeah.
still. Like
Yeah,
Gravity
you've got
Field
no
is
ability to actually just catch somebody out. You got a lot of damage, no way of landing it. And with that damage being very reliant on skill shots for most of these champions, that makes it very hard. If this gets locked in, you've got a solid level of engage. Problem is, you're playing on a 90-second timer for most of the game. Every time that Rakan ult is down, you're incredibly susceptible because locking somebody down becomes so hard. And Rakan himself is so incredibly susceptible to just kind of being bashed in the face the second he
bonk.
jumps forwards by something like a Vi, and he doesn't get to play the game. So RIZE are really locking themselves into we know we are better at what we do, so we're going to play our game and stop you from being allowed to do anything. If this gets locked in, suddenly your engage goes down the toilet.
The poppy coming
Flush
through
that
here.
away.
It does cover your one entry, but I think with the Rakan you often have little ways around. I wouldn't be huge. Oh, I'm on the fence about what Ryze should be breaking this Gwen flex with. I was like, yeah, Xin Zhao, and I was like, no, let's not do Xin Zhao. I think Blade of the Rune King third is a build that is so out of date. It's frankly egregious, and you'll never break through this setup.
Sejuani Maokai? Question mark. You need
I
like
think I
solid
think I think
engagement
your
go forwards.
criticism of the damage though becomes even more valid. Camille comes through. Cormac. It's been a while, buddy, but you very, very strong top laner. Very exciting to watch. And yeah, that lane is going to be absolutely on fire, especially if this Renekton comes through.
We're gonna see Croc.
I think it's going to be Croc. That's very likely
It's Croc.
Croc, the lizard wizard
So
himself.
we have triple flex here for DMG as well, is the other really interesting thing. Technically a double flex for RIZE as well, because this Victor can go bot and the Ezreal can go mid. So we're looking at a very interesting comp here. I think for DMG, it's pretty laid out in Camille, Mundo, Orianna, Corki, Poppy. On the flip side, a little bit harder to gauge. Gwen has to go jungle, Rakan has to go support, the rest is kind of up in air. But
Yeah. I'm really, really taking a thought about this Ezreal Victor, like which one's going to go mid. I think both are pretty decent into Orianna.
both are fine into Orianna. I think Ezreal is better into Corki, though. I think Victor doesn't have the cooldowns to be able to box that champion like you need to be able to do in these early levels. So the second he Valkyries forward, Ezreal can shift away. Victor's stuck in this fist fight with him, and the Rakan can only do so much to peel him off. Especially with a Poppy
You're
ready
right, but
waiting.
I'm not sure if Victor can just like mothball that till 6. It's
Possibly, but you're playing a much further range than your Rakan ever wants to be playing.
yeah, most of my experience of this has been solo queue, and as we all know, people with D at the start of their rank really just like to right click each other for no good reason, which does really make Victor much weaker until later in the game. Uh, Interesting thoughts, interesting drafts, and once again, we're at the forefront of the meta. First live games on the patch. I'm going to say it. Have I fact checked that? Absolutely not. But you're here watching it with me, and that's all that matters. Luna, going to push you for a prediction, and then I might have come to a conclusion on mine, perhaps, mayhapsingly.
I think both sides are going to have a serious damage problem as the games get later. You are looking at Gwen being your best scaler versus Corki being your best scaler. Both scale pretty well. Both have really good ways of dealing with tanks. The problem is there's more than one tank, and they can both only hit one person at a time, realistically speaking, unless in Gwen's case, the tanks have decided to go Konga, 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 Konga,
Just
Konga.
line up for them.
So, you really are sitting in a situation where you are relying on getting to a point where these champions are strong enough. The front lines that we're looking at, I much prefer DMGs. You have two very big, like, I'ma just stand here and stop you going anywhere. Plus Camille ready to come flying in at a moment's notice as well, which buys a lot of space for Corki Orianna. Not to mention the fact you've got Poppy Dash in, Camille Hookshot to pair with Orianna Ball for a commanding shockwave onto the entirety of RIZE. Whereas with RIZE, like we mentioned, you really are still very reliant on this Rakan. Renekton can maybe find a flank and get a Ruthless Predator onto someone, but realistically speaking, it's much harder to execute. So based on simplicity and tools at their availability, DMG take this game for me.
I like that you sort of mentioned the Camille and like the way the shockwave has to come in is going to be a big deal. I think Camille versus Renekton is, we know it as top lane, and normally it's like over there, and it's like, where the top laners go. They can teleport in when they feel like contributing. As a top laner, that's how it is right now. And that's good. But I really do feel like the Renekton cutting off those flanks coming in, trying to push the Camille down, getting the junglers involved, I think is going to be a much larger part of this game than we'd otherwise come to expect. And I'm really looking forward to it between these two. Welcome back to the Four Nations. We hope you're having a happy new year. We're going to kick it to a quick break before we get in with this preview of our Division 1 split starting January 20th. Mark your calendars. We will be back in a few minutes with the promotion series. Hey everyone, we're back! Happy New Year once again. Promotions and relegations for Division 1 of the Four Nations Tournament. That's your United Kingdom and Ireland National League for League of Legends is about to get underway. We are minutes away from the first game. We're just having some, it wouldn't be Four Nations without some slight technical difficulties. Luna, we've seen the draft. We're ready to go. Feeling good?
Feeling very good. I'm very excited to see how these games play out. Of course, the first time we're seeing Victor since his rework take to the competitive stage. It's the first and last time we're going to the game as we know it, and as we head onto the Rift, less than a week away from Noxus coming and invading us. We'll see what our last games have to offer.
Absolutely. It's going to be so much fun. Even spread out here. Everyone's just going to check level 1. Best of 3. Going 1-0 will put you only one series away from promotion or recovery back into Division 1.
That's, of course, what every team is after here today, is that coveted Division 1 spot. It'll be very interesting to see. Now, nothing too out of the ordinary from what I'm seeing. Summoner spells, runes-wise, everything seems pretty bog standard.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Messages of love in the in-game chat for each other. Both of these teams slightly familiar, not having played against each other before, but plenty of players who've been around the block. Junglers both starting opposing red buffs, but a late ward in here from RIZE. Will spot rig doesn't walk all the way around, so Dr. Mundo's path will be known. Champion, we don't see too much in the jungle, but never really fell off. I think even from all the way back in Season 3, playing that, just got a little more popular and they added some monster modifiers. Does get a bit of momentum going if he manages to farm through and get a gank off very fast at getting through the jungle.
Yeah, I mean, Mundo, you get all the perks of having a Mundo, the healthy, I'm not going to die and walk at your AD carry and half health them with Heartsteel, with all of the, with none of the cons of not being able to have one of these top lane bruisers in the game as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how DMG run with this. So talking of top lane bruisers, Shmeon giving Cormac a bit of a lashing.
Yeah, this is not Camille's time. With Camille Renningston is a lot of fun to play, but it is more sort of a thriller film than sort of Hollywood blockbuster. Camille really suffers. I think I'd say at least till level 6, and at 6 she's still gonna struggle up against the Renningston. You do sort of tend to reach parity somewhere between 2 and 3 items, depending how you're doing, depending how they're doing, and the way the rest of the game has panned out before you can actually start to go toe-to-toe.
Absolutely. As we see Matt doing an opposite clear to Rigged. As Cormac now getting the better end of this trade with Shmeon being the one forced back, and it's top lane bruisers. It's bit of a wet noodle fight in the early stages of the game, unless we see some massive ignite play from Cormac. It's unlikely we see this first blood go across up here without jungle interference. Speaking of jungle interference, however, Rigged is in the area, so if they want to look to dive Shmeon on this, which it looks like they may.
And will be spotted on the ward. He's in a little bit late, but that Renekton...
Very low, massive wave
health.
Stacked.
Look for Rig to take the tower first.
Rig does tank the tower first. The stun comes in. Flash away, might fall. Barely does, but it's first blood going across to Cormac. And honestly, the extra 100 gold on a Camille plus the massive wave that Shmeon is losing, you're happy to take his DMG.
Absolutely. And with resetting, immediately Cormac will be able to teleport back into the wave, pushing to him. And Shmeon's teleport will just about get him some of the experience off the ground. No lane swaps, but losing that experience to the tower in much the same way does start to put a damper on what is otherwise Renekton favored early lane. Cormac holding the teleport as well.
Already got a Sheen.
That's the red carpet for top lane, that really is. You walk back in, the waves come into you, full control. You can have some creative decision making if you want. You can just enjoy the despair on the opposing laner's face as you just wander back in.
Yeah, Sheen already completed. We did also see the flash for Tortaken had to be blown in the mid lane there. Joame and Matt looking on towards that Orianna. And the bot side, just a good bit of trading. No summoners blown in the interim. We now see junglers going back to clearing normally. Double Scuttle did go across to Matt, though. So RIZE taking small advantages where they can. Only about 100 gold lead, which is to be expected off of the first blood.
Yeah. Rigged will catch up slightly now that he's back out on the map. And when your jungler falls this early in the game, you do end up in a little bit of an odd state where you're either right on time to some objectives or you otherwise have to suffer your opponent. Rigged here, I think, has pulled the dragon out. Yep, I can just about see the Cloud Dragon's tail there. And does have a pretty swift clear on it. There is not a huge penalty for Mundo's Cleaver. And percentage health damage is really good when you've got a big flat number there. We'll be able to take this away before everything spawns. Bot lane pushing in as well. DMG moving first on the map. The Toast will alert the enemy team here. And I think he's got a really nice path there to just clear his top side and end up at Grubs. Cormac still holding priority in this top lane. You know, I like to color it with it is Camille favored. It is Renekton favored earlier on. The Camille has so much ability, so much true damage on that Q, even from the early stages. And you highlighted the Sheen, the PvP focused item that does start to get that ball rolling. It isn't a huge amount of health or AD, so it's still vulnerable. But at the moment, this is looking like DMG will complete a full rotation to the top side and get the Kevins, started right on time.
Certainly well. We can see Scooby and Matt in the area, though, but Gibble has arrived. And with Cormac being the first to move, we can see a full collapse as Gibble finds the stun in onto Scooby. Hextech Ultimatum comes in. This Rakan has no way out, and Cormac will pick up his second. A good shockwave lands onto two. As Joame and Matt are left running back towards the enemy team. Tortaken has to run around the wall, being chased down by the ghost from Matt. As Shmeon flashing in onto Gibble, and will take that one back in return. The top laners are all about taking the kills today, and with two of the grubs going across to DMG, they're happy to leave it to say, take the last one, it's fine by us.
And we'll secure two and catch this top wave as well. Quick replay here will show how Gibble does manage to catch Scooby-Dooby-Doo up against the wall. And the answer to where are you is inside Camille's ultimate. Victor does get a decent amount of return damage here. That is how Geibel goes low enough for this return kill. We're looking at Shmeon coming across the front here. Tortaken will have to walk around the outside as the fight continues. And rigged. Good night, sweet prince.
The needlework dropped from Matt there, ticking 6 off the back of the grub, able to walk in onto Rigged and spell good night. 3-1 on this Renekton now. The top laners are taking everything for themselves, and honestly, I'd have it no other way.
I think we saw this slightly coming, but I didn't expect to this degree. This is both top laners. Is that all kills? All kills. 5 kills at 7.5 minutes belonging on the top laners? Oh, that's that's a bit lopsided. That's not what we'd expect. But yeah, that's I don't know, a pretty big win for DMG, I'd say, with these compositions. We're looking for them to have that bigger team fight later on. You're excited about the shockwave in the preview, because it will make Ezreal suffer to come forwards. It will be able to pick Victor out if he's not careful. And right now, they've picked up some objectives. They're looking pretty good across the map.
That they are. Normally we see the Grubs for Dragon trade-offs. DMG said, actually, we don't want to trade nothing. We're going to take everything we can, and only losing 1 grub in this exchange is incredible. See just a bit of trading in the bot side. You can see just how annoying this Corki can truly be up against things like the Ezreal. DDD taking the aggressive play, knowing that the Valkyrie is down as well. But it's showing just a bit of mastery over their champions, knowing what they can get away with and when they can get away with it, but nothing more than that right now.
All right, we're looking across the map. Plenty of jungle camps to do. Not a lot of blinking red health bars. So we're back to laning patterns. Cormac starting to respect that Shmeon picked up that stuff, and the Renekton is still pretty lethal in the 1v1. We'll be interested to see if this is one of the adapted builds, or whether we're going to see something a little more standard out of the Renekton. I have seen Warmogs and Unending Despairs on the live server, just to walk in and never walk out ever again. In tandem, which is quite funny. Sorcerer's Shoes, very funny item on Renekton. I don't think it's going to come to pass this season, but if it does, I'm going to have a great
AP scalings?
Not AP, well, yes, but magic damage out of the ultimate. if any of you don't remember Lizard Wizard from CVHD, there's a 2011 rabbit hole for you to go down later on.
Lord.
As we are going to see Ryan Gosling just running into Cormac, just staying high around mid lane. A little bit of priority earned, and we'll spot the jungler out. So Taken's in a bit of a rough spot right now. The Orianna can end up a bit like this, where she's under her own tower, her jungler isn't there, pushing out right now at the same time after a camp. You do end up in little vision, and you have to respect your little health bar till that Archangel stuff is done. Empowered teleports coming through and pings down onto the Kevins as we look for round 2. Oh my gosh, Cormac.
A lot of damage coming out of this Camille, and round 2 will be oh so sweet for revenge for DMG. If they can keep the control. Cormac, as you say, getting the better of Shmion in this topside exchange does mean that these grubs become that much harder to contest, but the pressure that's been generated, it's just rigged and Gibble in the river so far. Tortaken looking onto Joame as he walks into the bush. Initially forced to flash over the wall. The flash in from Gibble as the stun goes wide, which means the shockwave misses as well as Riggs just has to run at this Victor. Matt jumping forward, Scooby going as well. The quickness has been dropped, as has the needlework. Gibble will go across to Scooby. Cormac has now arrived, looking to just dance on the edge of that hollowed mist, taking a big bit of damage from the snip though. Now Rigged is stuck behind enemy lines. Gibble spreads it into Skip, and Slash should spell end for this Mundo. No flash available, no ult available, as Matt picks up another.
Really, really sad. I think DMG, a little misprioritization on their targets. They invest really heavy for Zume. This is really great. If they can stop the Victor controlling the fight, doing a bunch of damage, they're going to win out here. And they do. They really rip him apart. Ryan Gosling's ultimate comes back over onto Gibble, the support. So, DMG have a lot of money on the table right now, and they're a number up. Shmion's having to run in, so Cormac takes the advantage. But Tortaken and Rig split apart by this wall. Little bit of indecision there. Costs them dearly, and even though Tortaken will come across and deal some damage back, that is RIZE Gaming getting the grubs, getting the Blackfire torch on this Victor, and getting even and ahead in gold.
That they are Dragon, now up and available. I do believe that to be an Infernal Dragon? Yes. I'm looking at the map. There's an indicator in the top left corner of the screen for a reason, Luna. Good job. Infernal Dragon. So we are looking at Hextech, Chemtech, Mountain, or Ocean Soul. I think I'd like to see a Hextech, but there is no telling what we've
very controversial, seeing as Mountain and Ocean will reinforce much of what I've come to feel at the end of the season. If people just don't go down. They just don't go down. That's fine. Well, you know what? 10% extra you don't go down.
Plus a shield, so make it 15.
Oh, so you're right. It's more like 30 something when you got 10% extra HP and then 10% extra bonus EHP.
Yeah.
Hold on. How do maths work?
Especially if RIZE pick up all 4, by the way.
Oh, that hurts the soul slightly. What might be hurting the soul of DMG is that at our earlier juncture, we had all kills on the top side of the map. RIZE starting to spread that out, and I'm looking at Ryan Gosling on my screen right now. The Nash's Tooth done for the Gwen. She just really starts to take off from a jungle clearer to absolute juggernaut right about this stage. You know, a few stacks on the Dark Seal. First item through. Threat, the word I would assign to her right now. And with a pretty short cooldown on the Ghost and Rigged in the river, wouldn't be surprised if RIZE Gaming start fishing for a few extra fights here. Geibel coming up, he's a little late. The wave coming in, a bit of an awkward timing for both teams.
It is a little bit. You can tell they kind of want to play for this Herald, but they're not entirely sure how effectively they can get away with it. About 30 seconds on this spawn now before this objective truly becomes something to look for. Gibble forcing DDD away from the tower, knowing Scooby is in the top side.
That's a better way to use your numbers advantage. Scooby-Doo has helped stabilize mid, but the support for RIZE Gaming a little lost in rotation right now. We'll have to come back down. That has cost his AD carry just a little bit.
Scooby-Doo be doing nothing on the map at that point in time.
Securing numbers advantage around Herald. You know, there was no hope that Geibel was actually on a base there and, you know, going to surprise anyone. Cormac should have plenty of time to fade away from this wave. Yeah. I think, you know, we have hit the brakes slightly now that there are no Kevins to fist fight each other to death over. Well, that's okay. That's all right.
No Kevins.
Oh,
Pretty fitting, given we've passed Christmas. We leave Kevin in the past with his fun fun with bandits, sticky
you know,
bandits especially.
more spoiler warnings for Great British Television over the whole period. If you've not seen Wallace and Gromit, if you've never seen Wallace and Gromit before, if you don't have a soul, very worth it. I keep thinking of Norbot when I see them.
True.
Yeah, they're little Norbots. They're here to help. They're gonna multiply and take down your towers and eviscerate your enemies. And talking of
Speaking of eviscerating
evisceration, yeah,
enemies.
oh, Ryan Gosling got real fast as he finished up his jungle item there. Blessing. Just going a little bit faster through that bush. That's a little scary. You see Gwen, like, ghost up in 1 or 2 seconds, ultimate ready, and it's like, oh no, my face, please don't destroy it. Will fade away here, though, spotted by the wards of Rhinek and Guyval. I think they have 2, just... Nope, they don't have 2, they just have the 1 there for good measure. Really deep. Saw him coming off the Gromp, so plenty of time.
Certainly do. You see a bit of a lull state, no objectives up to fight for, knowing that both sides scale incredibly well. Happy to let things play out as they are. First items completed for most everybody on the Rift, excluding the supports as things stand, but that is par for the course.
They get their freebie items, they're incredible. Big fan of Guyval going for some extra damage here. That's gonna help them, I think, because you know you've got this setup. I think the Camille is the biggest swing in for your ultimates over the top, but you know Guyval's got that moment to moment. He's got to get the mark on and potentially blow someone up. It's greedy, and I love it.
Certainly is. This Herald going to charge into mid lane, and what wasn't greedy was DMG's decision to just give the tier 1, allow the first tower to go across, and it may just get a second charge onto the tier 2.
Ouch.
Very, very big value Herald coming through for RIZE there, as they all just escaped through the enemy jungle completely unscathed.
All right, looking at our time as everyone's setting up for the dragon. That was the reason for DMG teleporting back in. Rigged does have control here, but with Jume teleporting in and Ryan Gosling raring to go level 11 on this Gwen, it's going to hit like an absolute truck as the teams begin to contest the river.
They do. We can see Rhinek shifting up. DDD not quite in range. The top laners, both with teleport available, ready. Gonna commit to just taking this bot lane tier 1 for now, as the dragon is started up by RIZE. It does go down very fast. Gibble finds his way onto Scooby, and Scooby goes down. Matt looking for a way onto the backline, but it does not matter. Gibble will go down to Joame. That Chaos Storm doing absolute work as Shmion has TP'd in, as has Cormac. 5,000 health on the dragon and counting. A lot of ultimates still available for the side of DMG as Cormac goes flying in, finds a way in. The shockwave is beautiful. It tags onto 3. Joame is dead immediately, and Shmion coming incredibly low, as is Matt. Ryan Gosling will fall, will be able to smite away the dragon, but Rhinek flashing forwards, looking for a 3rd, looking for a 4th onto DDD. Rigged will say no, but it's a clean ace for the side of DMG, only dropping Cormac in the time as Scooby just respawns onto the map.
Ryan Gosling might have driven away here smoothly with the Mountain Dragon, but let's make no mistakes. DMG set this one up beautifully. Guyval, using the best of his item, absolutely bursts out the Rakan here, and despite going down himself, that is such a big win. RIZE do not have a way to progress forwards in this fight, and while Cormac takes some chip damage, they are now without a front line for the Shockwave Hextech ultimatum to come through, blasts their front carries, and allows Rhinek all of this space up the front. Despite just about getting smote out there, they are absolutely pushed back through mid. They lose their tier 1 in response, more than equating the tier 1 and tier 2 damage they took. That's 2 tier 1s and the team fight win for DMG, despite RIZE picking up the dragon.
And you cannot be upset with that. Your Corki now online, your Oriana sitting pretty as well. Your Mundo slowly clawing his way back into the game. RIZE, they're now on the back foot, about 2,000 gold behind their opposition. And what looked like they could just walk forwards is going to prove to be a much bigger fight. for them to take away in this first game. We can see Rhynek up towards this top lane, tier 1. DDD, the only person left up there to try and defend it. So we could see a third outer full. But 3 members strong for RIZE and no information for Cormac. He could just be collapsed on here very, very quickly. Shmion, Matt, and Scooby all moving in. Slice and Dice is stunned up by the Rooted Predator. There's the quickness into the knockup, but dodged away from a beautiful hook shot by Cormac. There's no way he gets out of this. Ignite goes down, Needlework is used, but Cormac will fall.
All right, tower in response. So in the meantime, despite RIZE picking up that pretty prize in the bottom lane, more minions are going over in favor of DMG. So the gold not growing as much as you expect. That 2,000 lead kept even. If we do have a look over the map right now, RIZE have set up 2 lines of vision. We have a bit of a box around this dragon coming up in 2 minutes. That will need refreshing, but it did allow for the play there. And they managed to get in and around Cormac. And then this line up through their jungle in the north quadrant, which is preventing DMG from getting a dive under any of those tier 2s, from really committing to anything. So they're staying spread out for now.
I found Ryan Gosling. He's just dead on the reset. Couldn't quite get the recall off. Was cancelled by Tortaken and collapsed on by Rigged. Beautifully done. Just kind of trying to read where this Gwen is and how greedy she is going to be. Sets her back on the back foot again.
Yeah, that is a reasonable critique, I think, of Shmeon's walking forwards here. I think Tortaken ready to be the bait.
Gibble's here as well. Smite comes in, stun comes down. This should just be one dead crocodile. Who wants some new shoes, everybody? As Rigged is going to pick those ones up.
Oh, stylish shoes for Corporate Mundo. He only gets the best. Only the best. I think sort of the themes and the items that DMG have built are working really well here. I've completely forgotten what we were going to talk about. Gwen, not a huge threat without her ultimate. There we go. That was the point I was going to make before. And Scooby-Dooby-Doo, once again, in a bit of a mystery machine right now. I don't think there is any threat onto Rigged. Tortaken will be able to just escort him off of this tower. The items and the themes, I think the DMG are setting where their support is a sort of a nuclear missile coming in, and sure, it'll explode and he's going down with it. But has found multiple picks now and has set up DMG for the big team fight. The shockwave that will echo through and pick people off while Orianna remains healthy and not a target herself. The Dr. Mundo, that, you know, I normally don't like Heartsteel and Jung. You don't spend enough time stacking it, but is now this juggernaut who can just walk up and swing the briefcase. They have sort of set the bar for themselves, and the theme fits a little more. Something you mentioned, Luna, in draft, so you don't like the Victor with the Leandries, that things aren't super lining up for them here. There is not a lot of flexibility in Ezreal's early items where they can adapt to try and take things down at long range. We'll have to see if the Horizon focus comes through. I think it suits this game quite well. Is there anything else we want to hit on before Dragon comes up? DMG are in position.
They are on vision, but it doesn't really matter. Joame, DDD, they're not strong enough to go contesting for this soul point. You're relying entirely on your Renekton and your Gwen. And while the TP is available for Shmion, this dragon will just melt if given too long. As we see Rigged starting it up, while Rhynek and Gibble keep pressure in mid. And they're actually doing a perfect job of it. They're dragging people in towards them. Taken on a beautiful flank because Rigged is just walking at Scooby. DDD going to start to shift down now as Shmion collapsing, cutting off the avenue of escape. We see Cormac TPing in. On the backside, does have a flank. We see Scooby going in, finds a way onto Tortaken. Tortaken able to flash away. Rigged taking next to no damage. Cormac goes in and able to blow up the jungler. Cormac will pay with his life, but it doesn't matter because Rigged is unkillable. Gibble doesn't die. He chomps down on the throats of his opposition. And with Joame and DDD, the only ones left standing, and the only casualty for DMG being Cormac. The Dragon, the soul point, it's theirs, and they are at no threat.
I really thought RIZE had got that for a moment. They had the numbers advantage. Shmion holds teleport advantage, even if RIZE aren't holding a lot else after that fight. DDD just inviting a little bit of chaos there. Pings down onto the Baron, teleport in to the top lane. It looks like DMG have no brakes on their train. They are going to go for this immediately off the bat of their team fight win. 1-0-10 Tortaken has been the support, used their entire health bar, their entire shield before flashing away for the shockwave. It looks so good for them right now. The cohesive unit coming together over the individual threats of RIZE. They have found them at the Baron.
Certainly have, but it will be smited away by Rigged. The ultimate not available, but a beautiful steadfast presence will stop Shmion from being able to get in. as they should escape. We'll see exactly what happened on this bot side fight.
This team fight around the dragon was a slow burner, slow starter. Geibel and Reinet get pushed away. The teleport from Cormac is into the back line. Scooby-Doo and Ryan Gosling overextend slightly, are turned back around on. Tortaken flashes away. Cormac falls. But with the Orianna surviving and Reinek untouched, firing away, the Corki has far outscaled the Victor and the Ezreal at this stage. Those 3 items more than enough to put paid to the members of RIZE Gaming.
And they've managed to pull this game back into their control very effectively. The early stage of the game, it looked quite rough for DMG, with Shmion and Ryan Gosling taking such a big leap ahead of the competition. But now 7,000 gold in the lead. Only one out inner tower standing for the side of RIZE. Shmion has a beautiful flank here, but what they can do with it all depends. Dominus comes in, but the slice and dice isn't going to. A flash onto Reinek is good, but there's no way to follow up. Gibble able to flash away as well, and Rigged is now being able to get to the fight. So much damage come down onto Shmion and Scooby. They have to leave. Ryan Gosling falls. Juame is doing what he can, but the Herald of the Arcane heralds nothing but the end of his team's life. DDD's able to pick up one on the flip side, but Rigged is just running at the enemy, and there's no way to kill him. There's no tank shred between the 2 carries, and the Herald falls. Cormac's pushing the top lane. DDD remains the only one standing. And while it may not be game, it is going to be damn close as the home of RIZE is broken wide open by the rest of the Division 1 team.
I think it should be game here. Rigged can probably put paid to those towers himself at this stage. Dr. Mundo goes where he pleases. And where he pleases is the boardroom. It's looking like a 1-0. Oh, minions not quite reaching. And no, they're going to respect it. DMG walk away. They'll get another tier 3 for their time on the way out. And yeah, that approach, 4 members of RIZE Gaming barreled down here. We'll see them as they run up mid. They see Geibel, they see the flank. Shmion, pretty decent spacing coming across, flashes over so that they don't get stuck in Poppy's field. And then that shockwave there breaks the approach. Ryan Gosling on his own. And he's handsome, but he's not quite handsome enough to take down Reinek. And while DDD is in the backline, in that other dimension, finishing off the Corki, the tanky members of DMG are sorting out the other side, equating their loss from the Corki. That is a broken base now. A trap potentially set up in the river. There's not a lot going on here without that dragon. Not a lot of vision. I don't expect RIZE to step forwards. Just having a check. Just figuring it out. Just finishing off all the jungle camps, crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's here in game 1.
We are truly seeing DMG come to life in this game number 1. They may not have had the best couple of splits in Division 1, but they sure as hell don't want to be dropping down anytime soon. And if this showing is anything to go by, it may not. Very happy in their current situation. 10,000 gold in the lead. The point of no return. It takes a miracle for RIZE to pull this back, or a massive misstep from DMG to allow them the space to do so. 40 seconds on the Dragon, another 2 minutes on the Baron. Sole point for DMG, and they have full control of the map present.
It's really difficult for RIZE as to whether you even approach this. There is so much vision in front of this dragon. Ryan Gosling, I'm not gonna lie, buddy, you don't run with the teleport summoner spell, so I'm gonna imagine that this is a probably give soul and see if we can flip the elder angle. 2 members of DMG actually coming up here, so a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of uncertainty in the game plan. We do not have 5 people parked in front of this mountain dragon, so we'll see how it goes. Teleport
TP available for both solo laners, though.
Yep, we're both looking at it right now. And, you know, there is the commit in here. There are no wards into the base. Double TP onto the tier 2 tower. Looks like a straight fight.
Almost go strong, but it goes down. And the keeper's verdict onto Shmion is beautiful. Rigged now running at the enemy, but Reinek's already left. It's just your tanks. Tortaken has arrived. But Rigged tanked so much damage. We've said it time and time again. There's no damage to kill this Mundo, and RIZE are in full retreat. They're running for the hills. They're trying to find their way back home. The Needlework is used as a way to peel, but Rigged is flashing forwards. So much damage out of this Orianna means that Juame has to leave. Jump in from Gibble, and it's a beautiful shockwave. Cormac goes to follow. 3 are already dead. Ryan's next one to fall. DDD shifting away. They take one, they take two in return, but with only the Ezreal left and a Mundo standing between him and his base, there is no way back. DDD can do nothing but watch in horror as Heartsteel bonks him in the head, and the game will go to DMG and take them one step closer to reclaiming their Division 1 spot.
RIZE tried their best there, and I think the call maybe to give the Dragon a little flexible in the way that they sort of approached. They were like, we kind of got to fight. We can't run away back to our base. We can't be under our Nexus towers. Poppy Ultimate sort of sealed any approach they had there. Bit of a struggle. That's all right, because it's game 1, and we got plenty more action. Luna, I was pretty impressed by DMG. I think that was what I was looking for. Them all split. There was a clear identity, a clear message. And I wouldn't say it overwhelmed their opponent's comp. It wasn't guaranteed from the get-go. I think they played it pretty well, though.
They certainly did. They allowed themselves so many avenues to come back from the early deficits they found while fighting around these early objectives. I mean, Riggs dropping to 1 and 3 makes it look really,
the early
really scary.
deficit, I'd say they sort of tailed off into mid-game where Renekton gets the strongest, but that Camille started with 2 kills. In a Renekton lane, we started with 2 grubbies, coast to coast from Mundo. I think they were doing pretty well.
They certainly were. The Mundo going into an early deficit individually makes the game much harder because the Gwen is the one picking up the resource on the other side, and the Gwen is the one character on the enemy composition that can kind of mess with you, right?
Yeah,
it's the only one that can really kill
it's
this
such
Mundo.
a big hammer for one player to wield. And we saw it a few times. The Geibel would go in and be like, I got him, guys. And Ryan Gosling would be like, get out of here. Talking of Ryan Gosling, we got to drive. All the way over to game 2. We're going to catch you after a quick break. Me and Luna gonna go rest those vocal cords. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all having a happy new year. And what would make me happy is more action after this break. Welcome back, everyone. It's promotion and relegation time for the Four Nations Division 1 teams. That's our bottom two from last split, Autumn and Winter 24, fighting off against Division 2's top two. RIZE Gaming were the eventual winners of Division 2, and they've hit a little bit of a stumbling block after a fantastic playoff run. They are now 1-0 down up against DMG UK. Luna, they've chose blue for game 2. Are we feeling a big change? A little change?
So there's a lot of blue winnable picks in current meta. Amumu, big one that comes to mind. Champion's not fair. Ash, another one.
Is that a personal vendetta I see?
Maybe. I'm an AD carry man. I hate Amumu at the best of times. When he's strong,
you
I
play
hate him
these
even more.
fancy team fight ones as well that want to pop off and kill 5 people and put a big target on their back and say like Amumu, like come get me.
I play Xayah, Aphelios, Kai'Sa, and Ezreal. I play 2 pop-off champions.
Anyway, blue one.
Yeah, you got Amumu, you got Ash, you know, the standard 2 that we tend to be seeing a lot when the meta gets to this kind of stage. Amumu's very strong because Leandri's works so well with his kit, and he's innately quite tanky. I can get into tank very effectively anyway. And Ash, always solid. When there is no clear-cut standout AD carry, she's always very handy to have around. Was banned away in the last game. I don't see that changing any time soon. This champion is incredibly strong within her own right. But you've also got things like Caitlyn that have taken a step to the forefront again. With these Yuntal Wild Arrow changes, we are seeing some of the champions that rely on having high amounts of crit, ideally around that 100% mark, really step into the limelight because they get AD, attack speed, and crit. Something that was, for good reason, removed from AD carry items normally.
Yeah, like I detest gambling until it's 100%. Then it's not gambling. That's my feelings on crit chance and how that little modifier used to work. I used to be that guy. I used to have my 1 red crit rune. I knew what I was doing.
1% crit and hope you crit somebody.
I'd swing my Trinity sword and be like, "Ooh, crit animation, cancel that. Hello, opponent. Would you like 2 hits instead of?" I was the best. You know, it was a different time, a different one dodge rune as well. Like, we've come so far. We've come so far, and I hope RIZE Gaming have come far in their preparations in the last 5 minutes because they're up against the wall. GSL bracket we mentioned at the top of the day. 2 best of 3s to start. Everyone's 0-0. You got to have 2 wins or 2 losses to proceed, either up or down. So the 2 winners tonight will play each other for a promo spot. The loser then goes to 1-1. The 2 losers of tonight's 2 series, and I would like to potentially go to the helicopter in the sky and see if we've got the score for 200 Bandits versus Broad and Friends as well. I haven't got that ready tonight yet. Quite ready. Might still be in game 1. Haven't got anything in front of me here. And with that, your 2 1-1 remaining teams will play off for the last spot. That's the GSL bracket. Esports as old as it gets. So you really want to win your first match. You really want to be going out. Broad and Friends 1-0 out of the first game. Thank you, production. Zoe in the helicopter in the sky watching all the games all at once. With that, our 2 Division 1 teams are looking pretty defendable. And that, if you asked me like 4 weeks ago, like with Division 2 finals coming up, I'd be like, it's going to be pretty close. It's going to be pretty close. So the Division 1 team's defending it well.
Yeah, I mean, it was close until it wasn't.
Yeah. So the early game was pretty relaxed. I don't think anyone sort of really.
Well,
was about to blew any gaskets, and
I think the top laners might have blew a gasket or 2.
The top laners may. Would you say a head gasket?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you say what's missing from my car right now? Oh, Christmas has been a wild time. Don't blow your engine up on the M11, friends. It's not
oh God.
Really not safe. I'm happy to be here. Cheers.
On the M11 of all places.
That was actually the A14. It was a bit more dangerous.
Oh, even worse.
Don't find out where I live, chat. I'm here. I've got my cup of tea. I'm excited. I'm ready for some premium adaptation in Game 2 as we get into draft.
Karthus.
Karthus. Dearest Karthus, this rigged player is really good at playing you. Can you not appear in this series? Sign.
Can we not have a Requiem from Pentakill today, please and thank you? The Lost Chapter should remain an item.
Ash is gone as well. Corky, adaptation, Hawkeye. or otherwise in game as Rhynek, drawing bans here. I'd be shocked if that's not a Jinx on a B3 hit. You gotta ban the Jinx. If that's Mundo, we're gonna see team fighting bot lane 1 and 2 here for DMG. I'm feeling it. That is a fantastic setup for them on red side.
Hecarim Jinx are open.
Hecarim Jinx is an incredible get to 25 minutes and fight your face off. It goes nicely with the Victor. I don't know how that'd fall all the way to R3, but maybe we could even go that far as Ari is the last man. DMG Esports leave a few more overpowered picks open at the close. And RIZE Gaming, realizing what they've done and maybe even planning it, will be taking away the Jinx themselves.
But Hecarim and Amumu both still available, and Jinx hates playing into either. If you can steal away a Thresh as well for Gibble, suddenly this Jinx has no safety from what's coming flying at her face at Mach 10.
Would you even maybe opt for... I don't think it's Ezreal Karma here, right? You were talking about the Caitlyn earlier as well. Would you opt for, like, wave pushing Caitlyn, or would you address this directly in the team fight? Hello, directly in the team fight. How are you doing?
Let's go! He's learnt!
The Aphelios coming through. I haven't seen an Aphelios in a hot minute. And don't flame me too much. I haven't watched any Demacia Cup. I'm not telling. I've watched one game of Demacia Cup. Not been in enough health to watch too much League of Legends recently. Is this a thing?
So
like,
the only...
I know the mechanic of it, but is this popular? Are other people doing this?
The only AD carry to still build Collector.
Okay.
Off memory, because he doesn't really want Yuntal. You get enough attack speed off of your W plus boots. You don't really need... Plus, you pick up a PD or a Renuns later into the build anyway, but you want like the raw AD that Collector gives you, alongside the likes of Infinity Edge, LDR, and Bloodthirster. Aphelios, not in a terrible spot. Very good into comps that want to play into him. Jinx, Cassante, Viego, very much want to play into him. Along with this Hecarim, DMG have the chance to completely blow this game wide open. And we know that Hawkeye, or Rhynek, is an Aphelios player. We've both worked with this player in the past. Something I wanted to get him to play, but he was on his Tristana arc when he was with me, so it was really difficult. But now we get to see it.
Yeah,
and if you can set up around it, you've got a really good carry duo between your AD carry and your jungle here. Man,
we're going full T1 tonight. Everyone at home. That is Galio over the top. Galio Hecarim can dive. If the dive isn't successful, or you're playing it backwards, or everyone jumps to Aphelios, you simply hold the Galio ultimate, drop it on top of them. DMG, real exciting in the first phase. I'm also pretty excited about the Shmion Cassante. He's been a real menace on that in Division 2. Ryan Gosling on the Viego, another huge threat. That was a pretty good setup through game 1. It wasn't enough to carry him to victory, but the threat, the presence, being able to leap out of the jungle at someone and have that lethality to actually take down a laner, pretty big deal. Holding the AD damage balance around mid as well. A big mage in the back of RIZE Gaming this second phase, I feel. But DMG, they're banning away the Lulu. Are we actually going to get Victor through 2 phases?
Wouldn't shock me, because Hecarim and Aphelios don't mind playing into this champion. Victor, quite short range, so Aphelios can abuse. Hecarim can get on top of him without too much trouble. The gravity field doesn't do a huge amount with that phase rush that Hecarim typically takes as well. Although the Camille ban suggests that potentially RIZE are looking to just keep Shmion safe. And when you look at who you're against, there's one thing that needs to be respected if you're playing a tank.
Yeah, Cormax Darius. He's just a little bit good. Just a little bit good. Pride of Ireland, some would say. I saw you all in Twitch chat in the server earlier. Hyping him up, gassing him up. Very, very exciting player. The Aatrox hover here. Like, come on, friends. Come on. He's pretty good at both. He's very good at both. But I'd fear the Darius in this situation.
You've also got no way of peeling the Darius off, right? The second he gets in, he's in.
I just think the 2v2 is a bit lethal. Either
is.
way. And right now,
lethal.
right now, it looks really good.
Although it does leave you in a situation of having no magic damage outside of Galio. But that being said, with Galio's MR scalings allowing him more magic damage, you don't really need to worry about that, especially with the bleed also being true damage, if memory serves. You have nothing to worry about if you get into the situation. The hover is there. We'll see if Cormac decides he wants to take it, and that he will.
Absolute magic. And you sort of alluded to it earlier as well. You're talking about damage types. The tankiness for Rise Gaming wasn't there so much last game. Like, you know, DMG just had these big pillars they could stand on. And once again, like, it's just Kazante. Like, the Viego, it's not going to be a Juggernaut, not going to be a big health bar to swing around. Threat, yes. Juggernaut, no. I do like the Karma coming through, as I think that does cover up that sort of weakness there. It used to be played into Galio mid just to put him under tower and make that room a little weaker. Does fall off in damage later on. Oh, we're going back. Those who have been a fan of UKL for a very long time might remember the era of proxy picks. We're never doing that ever again. However, there was a little bit of a whoopsie there. That Karma is a Renata lock-in, so that's closing out a Jinx Renata bottom lane. And Lissandra in mid, another classic Galio Canther.
Although, we still have the same issue. Xante's your only tank. Lissandra kind of is a faux tank, but beefier
for the mages, and Karma sort of gets everyone going.
But it's Renata, not Karma, don't forget. So it makes it a bit harder, because you've only really got the bailout to work with.
You get one for free. You get one for free.
This game is exactly what Aphelios wants. Exactly what Aphelios wants. And it looks like the Renata's going to be locked on the other side, which would suggest this is Karma, and they've just been switched.
Read them like a book. Luna's got that one correct. So, swap those two supports around for us here. I think that's the way I'd have probably chosen to deal with a Jinx bot lane and a setup with a Viego. Dump that wave in, leave and escape.
It's not a bad idea. Of course, we always see Aphelios Jinx as the standard kind of back and forth trade-off that you take. We have done it for years now. They do very similar things. Aphelios scales just as well. Just doesn't rely on resets as much. Does rely on having good gong combo, so you do have your windows of fighting for both. We don't typically see the Aphelios paired with things like the Karma. Very often we'll see it with Emilio or a Lulu or a Nautilus or a Leona. He can go both ways, whereas the Jinx much less with the engaged champions. They both like Thresh. That has not come out today. We are looking at Renata and Karma. Not something that we typically see either of these champions paired with. In fact, we normally see this switched. So the way you're seeing it on your screen currently is how we would normally expect to see it. Because Jinx wants the speed and Aphelios wants the bailout to be able to play like a little bit of a psychopath with his blender combo. Don't have
I love the blender combo. Like red and white. Just plug it into the wall and turn it on.
You've got the blender and you have the long range oven.
Is that Infernum and
Calibrum?
Calibrum.
You fire off a moonshot, you manage to land it, suddenly the entire team has just been cooked alive.
I'm a very color oriented person. That's light green and blue. That's your long range LPL special, where the ultimate is just like, you were stood on top of each other. That's a skill issue.
One of you is taking a lot of damage, or you're all taking a lot of damage, depending on which ultimate I decide to use at the time. But more generally, DMG's comp looks very easy to execute. You have one clear idea, you know what you're doing, you know you can do it well. Very easy to go forwards with a Karma, allows the Hecarim, the Darius, the Galio that chance to just run. Aphelios more than happy to either sit from long range or run with you and blend the enemy. On the flip side, you've got a much harder situation. You've got single tank, you've got a Lissandra who doesn't play backwards very well. She has to be going forwards, and you don't get to go forwards here. Because the second you do, you'll immediately CC'd, so unless you can insta-ult yourself off of that glacial path, you are dead on the spot. Viego, Jinx, you kind of see these two together a lot. They're looking for resets, but with a Renata, things get hard, because that bailout has to be used very early.
A lot of high pressure cooldowns. Lissandra ult, the bailout. I'm looking at Renata ult here as well. I'm sort of getting flashbacks to game one, where I really hope RIZE have sort of got a better measure of what they need to use running forwards, running backwards. Sort of in the green room, we're talking about the gravity well, the gravity field from Victor, and how, you know, running forwards, it's very easy. You're already moving away out of it. It's very unusual that Victor actually gets to place it behind you because it's not very long range. August, if you're looking, if you want to absolutely break Victor, just take some of his damage off and just double the range on that thing. It's horrible. But, you know, if people are running towards you, they land themselves in it. They make it hard. And I think Renata ult here starts to make a big difference when you're splitting yourselves open with Hecarim and like DMG actually running forwards and diving forwards. So even more high pressure cooldowns than normal. Luna, any other comments? Otherwise, I'm gonna really enjoy this cup of tea, and we're gonna take a minute.
I think they can wait until we get into game.
All right, we'll see you in about 4 minutes. Says the magical production. We'll be back right then.
Welcome back, everybody. We are on to the Rift for game number 2 of this best of 3. DMG standing tall after their game 1 win. They've got a solid composition to allow them the chance to succeed. And RIZE, who were on the back foot off of game 1, also have a relatively strong showing to give if they want to pull this one back. So if there's any shenanigans at the level 1, But short of that, Temporal, what are you expecting to see in the early stages of this game?
I'm in awe that we just wandered up that tower. That was absolutely beautiful. Absolute magic. Thank you, B, very much. Very, very much. I'm expecting not a whole lot. We've gone over, I think, in a few different ways, some of the big team fight swings and tools here. I think neither team will be trying to hit the gas. Maybe similar to last game, we'll see a bit of trading in top, and that might convert to the end of a jungle path. But both of these junglers are super greedy, super for themselves, till 6. I could say the same thing about Mundo, though, last game, and never mind, because Rigged was there, willing to die to get under that tower. So we'll have to see. I'm not expecting quite as much going on. I think it was like, what, 6 minutes, 5 kills, all of them on the top laners?
Yeah, something like that.
We're going to see less than this.
I should hope so, because it's not Camille Renekton, it is Darius and Cassante. And while Darius is very strong in this matchup, not exactly the best at cutting into the pain that Cassante can yield. Although,
let's have a look. Cormac's on it. He's got the W level 1. He's trying to proc the passive as fast as possible. Shmion will just about hold range there. So both use skills to just start cutting away at the wave. I did clock something level 1, Luna, and that is that RIZE here on the blue side did manage to fake pull. So at the moment, DMG on red might be slightly misled as to where the jungler started this game off.
it's a possibility, although in current meta, we've seen for a while junglers don't really need leashes, and laners are all too happy to
Oh, for sure, but it's the
give them.
misdirection.
The misdirection is
They,
definitely
they,
on
they,
the
they were
cards.
late to the wave, and it has cost Scooby-Doo a few of his snacks, and absolutely his health bar.
Yeah. No snacks for you, friend, as we see. Just trading left, right, and center.
Cormac got level 3 there. Oh, gets the chance to use it too. Flash
Good
force to
lord.
Shmion. Has to get out of there.
That is a lot of damage coming down onto this Cassante. Cormac doing a very good job of pressuring this lane, as would be expected. You can see not a huge amount going on. Junglers opposite paths. I don't imagine either side knows where the jungler is. They can only but guess. And with Cormac being so pushed up and no sign of Ryan Gosling as yet, you assume he's on the bot side as another pull in. Shmion really taking a battering in this top side.
I wanted to make some pun about Ryan Gosling being on the beach, but he
Rigged.
really is on the wrong side. It rigged coming in. Oh,
And there's going to be no trade this time.
It's so smooth. Buttery smooth from Rigged. The kick straight into the axe blade. Cormac's Darius does not disappoint. With an early pickup, Ryan Gosling will challenge Rigged here. But the smite on the Hecarim, more than enough to take that through and just walk away.
On the run. Using that E, the flash from Ryan Gosling will mean the stun will land onto Rigged, but with no more flash to keep following this, and the innate speed will just go down. The extension of the attack range, thanks to Sanctity, will allow the kill to go across. Very nicely done by DMG's jungler. We can hear pings coming down left, right, and center on the map. We can see a bit of damage being traded in this bot lane in favor of DMG.
Yeah, that's gosh. You know, I said there was going to be less, and I think Cormac heard me, and said, no, how about not? Interesting. So I really wasn't sure Ryan Gosling was going to get that. I guess he is just faster. Excellent spacing. Really was that last little bit of the passive that made that possible. I was going to talk about Jume here, but we'll come back to mid in a minute. Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Low health into the tower, but the looming threat of the bailout, I think, more than enough to dissuade DMG from the dive here.
At least for now, as we see Shmion taking another battering in the top side. No level 6 to be spoken of. Ghost popped by Cormac. You have the Q3 available, but it does not matter. As you tick down the bleed, the hemorrhaging, Shmion is no more. Cormac stands tall, and the might of Noxus very ready for the season to switch over.
He's having an incredible time, and yeah, maybe champions like Darius get even more value because you got the first blood on your boot augment. We'll see if that stays in for the season. A lot of people not sure. I think it's all right though. it's all right to try and play a
If they
little
can
more.
balance the numbers on it, it's fine.
Yeah, you gotta play pretty rough and tumble about in the early game, I think. And people are like, oh, the boots, and I'm looking at those objectives that
Yeah,
spawn at the tips of the. I'm like, oh, I am
Atakan.
not worried about the boots. I'm worried about these.
Atakan looking very, very scary.
I think any champion that just gets going by this stage of the game is having a wondrous time.
Speaking of getting going, Cormac definitely on the road to getting going, as we see Engage coming in from Tortaken in the mid lane onto Joame. Ryan Gosling here to dissuade. The Glacial Path comes forward. Rigged is in the area. Tortaken has to flash away, but the grub's being done completely under the nose of the enemy. And of course, Hecarim, a very, very quick and healthy grubby clear, no less. We see yet more beating the Cassante over the head in the top side. Expect nothing less. Dragon is being traded up, however.
Yeah, it's gonna be sort of this way around. I really like the respect flash out of Tortaken. He, used his aftershock, gave Yume a bit of a hard time, but knew he had to keep his health bar high, else you do risk the Lissandra just being able to walk over to Grubs, burst out what is left of the Hecarim. I think that's a pretty decent trade. I'm happy with that if I'm DMG.
Yeah, absolutely happy with the situation as things stand. Especially since this Darius likely spending a lot of time in side lanes later on. Those grubs really going to mean something as we get later on. We'll see if they contest for the second set, or are contested for the second set rather. As we see taken once again, just going for the engage onto Joame. This Galio does a shocking amount of damage in the early stages of the game. It's been prevalent ever since Worlds and before.
Yeah, just beforehand, I think we were looking at it at summer and it never came, and everyone was like, "Oh, there's some pretty good AD carries at Worlds. What if we play Gallia?" I think there was a little bit of a buff on the Worlds patch, which helped. Seriously helped.
Definitely
Cormac pushing top in so much that he's got vision down onto his enemy jungler. As DMG's bot lane continue, I think what we can call a pretty dominant stretch so far in this series.
Certainly can. I mean, we're just seeing the amount of pressure that can be laid down across the board.
Do bear with everyone. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. We're working on it. We're working on it.
We see Moonlight Vigil come in onto DDD's Rhynex tanking up the tower. Rigged now tanking it up as well. The bailout might not be enough. It is not, as Gibble picks up the first kill there, and with a Calibrum turret set ready and waiting, and Scooby stuck under this tower. Ryan Gosling and Joame moving down Glacial Path, weren't allowed to catch onto Rigged, and Scooby is sniped down by a moonshot. Every Mirror Chakram running to their death. Gibble going to trade their life in return to Ryan Gosling, but getting a kill on the Aphelios is not something you're going to complain at.
Absolutely not. And DMG, they're just pushing the advantage a little more each time. Do forgive us, folks. The scoreboard is swapped, and we're having some difficulties getting it changed over. But currently, DMG are on the red side, 1-0 up in this series, looking to ascend to the qualification match up against the winner of Broad and Friends versus 200 Bandits, second seed, third place finisher out of Division 2. Right now, that's looking pretty good. That Aphelios, the ball is starting to get rolling on that massive team fighting AD carry.
That's an Infinity Edge rush. We're skipping Collector entirely, friends.
Unusual? Usual?
Odd. Odd to say the least. I don't think it is completely off the cards, because Aphelios likes the flat AD, but it's definitely not normal, as we see a trade for all out for Cormac's innate damage coming in. A flash to land the Q into the execution of the Noxian Guillotine, and Shmion, you shall pay for your crimes.
Rigged with the
Capital punishment may be taken anywhere and everywhere, but not in Noxus. You've got a guillotine and a public execution waiting for you, one of which not in this game. However, DDD stuck under the tower in the bot lane on their own. Gibble coming around the back. Rhynex getting a lot of damage, and we're seeing the power come through from Calibrum and Infernum. There's a lot of damage, but it might not be enough as the moonshot lands. The barrier comes in. The auto, it's not quite there. The healing allows a flash away from DDD, and now Scooby steps up to keep Gibble away. Beautiful survival on what should have been a guaranteed death for DDD under the tower there.
Yeah, difficult position. We saw that Infernum setup as well. Looked so good. 2v2 around mid here. Rigged going low pretty quickly.
Frozen Tomb, the Galio comes in, it might not be enough. Does get the knock up onto Ryan Gosling, but Shmion is here as well as the Grubs have just spawned. And once again, we're seeing Rigged and Tortaken struggle around the second Grubs. It's the curse of trying to get 6 coming back again.
Yeah, and RIZE here just being slightly quicker to the punch on the spawn timer. Scooby-Doo walking up after a, slightly ill-fated play on the bot side, but they're on time. I think DMG being confident, not a substitution for the numbers. They're not a way to play out the longer fight. And with ultimates expended, that is RIZE on the blue side just getting in. Cormac here, it was close in the last 1v1. I really thought he was going to go down till the flash fixed his axes. Attention here. Oh, Gosling gives him the heal.
A lot of damage. It's a lot of damage. I was waiting to see if there was a climax, but the climax shall not come. Cormac going to fall. It was very close, though. Let's be honest here. That was very close. That was very, very close. Like, closer than it ever should have been. I thought there would be a climax. I thought we'd see some big outplay come through. But alas, it did not. I was waiting with bated breath, much against my role in this.
It's alright. It was tense, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that Darius's ultimate doesn't like to display properly on your own team's scoreboard, and occasionally on the spectator client as well. So I wasn't sure if he actually had Noxie and Guillotine there.
That's what I was waiting for. I was trying to discern it.
Because like that magic shield that was covering up the last bit of Ryan Gosling, I was like, nah, that don't matter. That's not there. That's not real. I was just like, oh, okay, he's got him. It's like he's not casting it, so maybe the icon not matching it perfectly, and that's okay because Shmion will know. He'll have that time.
See a bit of trading going on in this bot lane. Gibble maybe a bit more further forward than want. The heal comes down, but the stun, the flash forward from Renata, the stun goes wide as well. Everything is missing as Rainak now happy to step forwards. Severum ult comes in just for a little more healing. Heal dropped by Scooby-Dooby-Doo as Rainak walking towards DDD. We can see Ryan Gosling coming back round for the rest of the play. None of the rest of DMG are moving down. This is a 3v2, true and true, through and through. 3v2, not sorry. And yeah,
are we not covering the tower? The tower!
We are not covering the tower. The tower should fall. Rigged moving into the enemy top side, knowing their opponent is on the bottom side, as the tower is just going to be given across, it looks like. DDD and Scooby both need to reset. Rainak and Gibble happy to stick around to take this last plate. Ryan might get caught. His Cormac goes over the wall with a blast cone, pulled it in. There's the ultimate to try and get back to safety. Rigged not able to find a way to push him back. Cormac doing a lot of damage. Rame going very low as well. Everybody's trying to get back in. Shmeel's arrived. The all-out goes under the tower, but it might not matter. Ryan Gosling going to be able to take one in return. Noxie Guillotine was already used. The all-out is doing a lot of work. And this Viego, so incredibly strong.
A little bit of a mismatch there. Ryan Gosling with the revenge, I think, of the century on this Viego. Tortaken based here. Tortaken's just finished a recall. And I think Cormac and Rig just feeling a little too much. They get one. Ryan Gosling doesn't fall to the Noxie and Guillotine. And the Galio is outside of their ult range here. There is no backup. That's a 3v2 behind your opponent's tier 1 tower. That's a little bit much, DMG. The confidence is there, but you still got to take the steps.
Certainly do. As we can see, they will claim their prize in the Herald. The Blade of the Ruin King finish for Ryan Gosling. He has had to purchase his own blade, everybody. We are sorry. Nobody gets freebies here. Infinity Edge completed for Ryanek. Hollow Radiance for Tortaken and Eclipse for Rigged. On the flip side, Unending Despair, Malignance, and Kraken, respectively, for the players on RIZE. You can see,
I think with the Hecarim up against Lysandra, you are in a bit of a trough here. We only deal damage, and Ryanek gonna have to expend those summoner spells that he kept so close earlier on, held that flash when it could have been a kill under an opponent's tower for a moment like this. And I think that was it was the, I can't believe
that was not a cleanse. That was a Mikhail's.
Mikhail's Crucible out of Guyable
because
as
Blessing
well.
Nowadays.
Blessing? Oh god, can you tell I'm old?
I remember it's Crucible as well. It's fine.
Oh, it's the struggle. It's really the struggle.
But yeah, we can see this bot lane, they know exactly how far they can play without giving up too much. Because Rainak does have to flash away. But you kind of take that in this situation. It's better than giving over the shutdown on his head with the gold so close. Never mind, it's a 2k gold for DMG, and we see an engage on ZDD. A beautiful grab from ult comes through, but there's no CC to follow it up, which means he can just walk away. Of course, the only problem with using the Moonlight Vigil from max range for something like a Gravitum is you then have to get in range, and that stun does not, that route does not last very long at all.
No, walking's hard.
Walking is
really
hard, especially when there's a wall in front of you.
I think you got decent information off that though. Like DDD walking away means it's not set up on the wave. You do get the priority, and they get a decent base off as well to boot. Looking up and down the scoreboard, I think Rigged is in a little bit of a difficult position right now. You know, he's doing kind of what Hecarim wants to, but there is sufficient anti-dive that he's gonna have to get some tank items sooner or later. You're not going to be able to just survive the glass cannoning. And if you do, you're not going to get through Renata Glass being able to prop someone up and maybe turn it around onto your team. 40 seconds on this Cloud Dragon now. 1 dragon apiece for the team. So it's not a huge priority, but both of them want to start building this team, getting these situations for their team fight. Eddie carries, DMG teleporting behind, Shmion trying to hold the river.
Certainly is. The all-out comes in onto Rig, but it might not matter. Rooted up, taunted up by Tortaken, and nobody else able to get in. Rhynek falls on the backside of the fight, never mind. As Ryan Golding catches that one. Hostile takeoff tags onto 2, and it means that Rig's able to take 1 in return. Cormac has to flash away, not able to chase down. Tortaken going into the backline, now in a 1 versus 4, able to flash with the wall, get out of the way. Gibble not able to join the fight. The taunt comes in. So the damage reduction only lands onto 2, but Tortaken will be giving their life to get their friends to safety. And while that fight may have been winnable if your AD carry was with you, Rhynek was caught in the middle of 4 on the middle lane. And in the middle of nowhere, he will fall into the middle of the ground.
A real struggle for DMG. Despite all of the setup there, Rhynek falls far too early, and you just get a taste of what could have been had this Aphelios survived. RIZE will pick up the objective and the tier 1 tower. We're going to go over this from the mid wave, so DMG get there first. They get onto Shmion. They teleport in to cut off Scooby-Doo. But Rhynek, too confident in his team's position in the river. With Shmion there, they cannot reach him in time. He's cut out, cut off. And despite the delayed Hecarim ult over the top, which I think is how Rig should be using in these fights, they are missing too much at this stage. And they will not be able to run through Alessandra. The advantage of that control mage in middle for RIZE.
Yeah, they certainly looked like they had the inside line, but with, as you say, with Rhynek dropping early, it makes it very hard. And then this attempted play on the bot side, dropping the Ghost from Rigged, whose Hecarim we know is terrifying. He's proved it before to us in Division 1. Struggling in this game. There isn't a huge way for this champion to be able to function into things like the Lissandra if you do not have that ultimate. Same to be said for Darius. Which, being said, makes it very hard to play the fights if you're not able to pick the Lissandra off or catch them unawares. But
I think I alluded to it earlier as well. This is more the classic Lissandra style. You got blue runes, your early game, not huge, but you're building that economy. You're setting up. You're like establishing your mana, getting runes that benefit you later on, but aren't necessarily skewed to all early game. The Malignants all set and ready. You've set up for your team that ultimate as fast as possible, and now the Zhonya's to boot, meaning you don't have to use it on yourself. And you're right, you can completely cut off the dive. You hold Darius still for so long. Rigged just won't get away with it. No Edge of Night, even in the dreamiest distance for this Hecarim, as another Moonlight Vigil goes wide in mid.
See Ryan Gosling moving to try and defend Shmiel to take this top lane tower. Tortaken not going to allow that one to happen though. Covering very effectively. 3 minutes until the next dragon. 35 seconds until the Baron spawns. I don't anticipate an early Baron this game from anybody. 2 items for mid-jungle duo of RIZE. 2 items has come in for Rigged, but nobody else on the side of DMG. So we are on a bit of a slow burner. The Kraken rush for DDD means you aren't looking for that 100% crit off of the Yuntal in a game where you have a lot of people you can be hitting. I'm not sure if that's the decision I would have made, but I can understand the need into tankier frontline.
Yeah, it's a nice flat damage profile, isn't it? You don't blow up the squishies at top pace. You don't have all the tank damage, but it's going to help you with your on hits later. I think it's probably the best way to approach this, where it's not necessarily clear in the last 5 minutes who the main threat from DMG is. You're probably going to have to like resist Rigged and Cormac coming forwards and be a part of killing Rhynek later on.
Certainly will. Speaking of Rhynek, only about 300 gold, if that, If we could have a check. Never mind, already picked up the collector. This is the big damage spike for Aphelios, your 2-item period. You will start to half health people on a crit and quarter health them on a regular attack because of the amount of flat AD you've got from your passive, plus the 2 items. We can see working into what I would assume to be an LDR on 3. This champion's only going to get stronger from here.
Yeah, no Giant Slayer, but still a mighty weapon, or weapons, I suppose we should say. I'm looking across the map right now. Both mid laners seem pretty content to ignore each other, but keep the bot lane in the balance. Everyone looking at the Baron right now, which is why Cormac is on the close side. No teleport for this Darius. Slightly greedy with the Ghost, but I think it's fair to say it's been pretty successful. He's been a bit of a menace. 1 minute 20 on the Dragon, so the map sort of in a state of flux. Vision from RIZE, mostly around the Baron, and now DMG setting up around this Dragon. That is quite likely the way the teams would like to go. That said, DDD want to be present. Jinx wants these big chaotic fights. I think the resets coming through from DMG diving forwards onto a very stable backline of Jume and Scooby-Dooby-Doo that are able to resist that dive is really the contrast to game one here. That is how RIZE are standing up, keeping this game so even.
Yeah, it's impressive. Is Shmion going to be collapsed on by Rigged, but the all-out comes in, stopping Cormac from following. Does force this all-out very early, though. And while Rigged takes a chunk, this is a K'Sante that's half health himself with no way, but Rigged looking to go forwards and runs into the middle of 3 people. Not able to keep it going. The Mikhail's already used from Gibble. 20 seconds on this Dragon, still yet to go. Rigged not able to get back to base to heal up. You have taken the K'Sante ult and half of his health, but it's going to be so hard to remain in control. Teleport coming in from Shmion, so it doesn't even matter that he's lost his health, it's just the cooldown.
RIZE would have been happy to play this slowly, but they've actually walked Jume across. So there's no threat on that top tier 2 tower now. DMG probably have to call the bluff. Slowly walk out. The top tier 2 stands for Jume coming across to secure this Dragon, but it doesn't mean RIZE move to Soul Point. DMG starting to slip a little, not able to find significant access to the river. And right now, if I was sitting here playing for DMG, I think I'm struggling to find someone to pick on, someone to try and dive towards.
Absolutely. They need to find their purchase in this game, and in doing so, they should find their way back forwards. You can see the bot lane duo trying to progress onto DDD constantly, not able to find that success though, and with no other real options for who you aggress towards, it makes it very hard. And when you consider that it's a Cloud Soul they're working towards on things like K'Sante, Viego, Lissandra, Renata, and Jinx, that is terrifying.
That's a big arsenal of weapons. Rainek just gets his great guns sorted, red and white, ready to blend once again, but no real pressure onto this mid tower. His teammates are still away. Hecarim still farming for himself. Not able to set up nicely. And yeah, I think Cormac probably a little happier with this lane assignment. Oh, sorry, Jume a little happier with this lane assignment, being able to stand away from the Darius. Plenty of cooldown. So if there was any rush forwards from Cormac, you'd just be able to wander it away. Baron now the focus. Only major objective on the map. Can you pull your opponents in at an unsafe juncture? Can you try and take it undetected? The 2 questions going through RIZE's mind right now as they are set up in the river.
Slow and steady wins the race, as it were.
Oh,
You can see everybody
yeah.
starting to converge on this mid lane. Cormac catching waves in top, but Joame, DDD moving back in. They're looking to collapse. Rhinex stepping up a little bit too far forwards. The glacial path comes in. The root comes in. Mikhail's is used for now. So Death Rocket goes wide, but you've got 4 people all trying to run towards. It's not working. I was taking the lands onto 2. Rigged able to run away for now. Shmion found their way. Rhinex again too far forwards. The Frozen Tomb comes in. The Galio ult is not enough. CC'd out of by Shmion. And with nothing left in the damage arsenal of DMG, they do not live up to their name. They do not live up to the expectation upon them as our Division 1 representative in this game. They will give the Baron and their AD carry. Their light in the darkness is the first to fall again.
Hawkeye just so far up. I like the sort of play. If your team can't find the dive, can't find the way through, let your opponents come to you. Cormac here, a little opportunistic, buddy. I don't think we're getting anything off the back of that. DMG's top lane up falls as a bonus round for RIZE in front of this Baron. And I kind of like this, right? You have a lot of cooldowns here that can come across and save you. You have the Mikhails ready. It doesn't actually spend very long CC'd at all. No follow-up damage. And you got red and white. You want to be close proximity with your opponents. But at the time where you'd want Hecarim to come storming across the front, that massive berserk from Renata comes across. And there isn't enough to get Rhynek out of trouble the second time.
Of course, having to use that Mikhails early makes it very, very difficult because you don't have it for this big ultimate. QSS may need to come through for Rhynek as well, just to get out of a little bit more of that CC that's flying at his face. A lot of this team's damage relies on his back. And with no tier 2 boots either, you can't take aggressive positioning like that.
No, it's difficult, and I sort of appreciate the need. It's not just like like I have to win this, I have to be up. There has to be a way to start a fight that isn't your team diving forwards, because at the moment they can't survive. Plenty of damage reduction from Tor taken, channeling that through there with the aftershock on top. But at the moment, RIZE have got the momentum. They've got the snowball. Oh, I have cursed them. Never mind. Shmion, it was always a bit ambitious, buddy. There's a lot of damage coming out of Cormac right now. It did look pretty close, though. Looking at health bars, going all out. Very, very dangerous.
Let's have a look, shall we?
All right, 1v1 challenge. Cormac is a level down. He uses a skill.
It's not a 1v1. Rig's there.
Oh, yeah, never mind. Oh, it might get pretty close. So, Rigged bouncing in and out. The all out comes through. Cormac goes low. Nice heal. It's just enough. All right. Jungle diff.
Wait. Tortaken TPing into Joame and Scooby here. Ryan Gosling on the side. Rhynek on green, blue. So a fight could be imminent. Rigged keeping Ryan Gosling out of the fight for now, as DDD is now entering. The teleport coming in from Shmion, as well as Rigged is CC'd up for so long. Legendary. Zostel takeover tags onto two. Attacks onto the Aphelios. And while he can take one, he kills another. And gives DDD their reset of the fight. And everybody falls. With Gibble trying to chomp their way out of this one, they may not have the choice. This mid lane tier 2 is going down. And the team fighting prowess out of RIZE is coming out in full force in game number 2.
DMG.
This might be the game.
The pressure getting to them, and when you've got a Jinx, this is just so straightforward. It's to plow right through, keep the resets high. Don't even need the minions in front of the Nexus towers to get started. And I think unlike DMG last game, there will not be a moment of reprieve. There will not be a moment of respect here as the towers crumble to dust.
Everything falls to pieces as RIZE will not go down without a fight. We go to 1-1 and we'll see who goes to the qualifier, but not without fighting tooth and nail first.
I think a lot of praise owed to RIZE here. That Jinx B1 Gambit. I think, DMG were very happy to be like, yeah, we'll leave Jinx up. Like, come at us, guys. And they did. They managed to make it work. There was enough break for the dive forwards there. And I don't think RIZE had to really sort of stress themselves. They had the tools, and they had plenty of them. Felt pretty good that game.
Certainly did. Now, that being said, it looked like DMG, they knew what they wanted to do. They didn't really know how to do it 100% though.
I think there was a little bit of confidence going into that game. And I'm not saying it wasn't warranted. Game 1 was pretty good. I think when your opponent sits down and drafting game 2 and gets more tools, gets more abilities, and they still feel sort of the burden of game 1 on their backs, like, you guys should have had a little more defensive setup here, or you shouldn't have dove into big team fight cooldowns here. And they've got it set up for themselves, and you're sort of diving into 2v2s mid that turn into 2v3s. You gotta watch it. DMG had a pretty decent setup, I think, in top and bot lane. They had the momentum in those lanes in the early game. I want to see them address the greater plan a little bit more. Look at what their opponents are doing. Pick their times a bit better, which was what got them there in game 1. Let's not forget. And then we're on for a pretty banger game 3, I'd say, Luna.
I would say so as well. I would like to see some of these more playmaking mages come back for Tortaken, though. The Orianna looked exceptional. The Galio not quite so much, but if we can get some of these really big impact area control champions come in. The Orianna would have been perfect with a Hecarim, for example. You go flying in, bam, you got 5 people in that shockwave. We can see some more of that. I'm very excited for game number 3 because I think that is where DMG will thrive.
I think it's something else Galio twisted out at Worlds as well. Is like, we've got this Karma support, but when you have Galio, you need an option to go deep on the Galio. You got your AD carry there, you'll be there for them. But when you want to apply pressure to your opponents, you need something like the Poppy from game 1. You need a Leona, you need a Nautilus, and you got to have the other side of that coin ready to go. Everyone, we're on for game 3. We're going to check in with Broad and Friends, the 1-0 over 200 bandits after this quick break. back. It's game 3 time. DMG Esports and RIZE Gaming have pushed each other to the end of the best of 3. Before we continue our series, a quick congratulations to Broad and Friends. A 2-0 over 200 Bandits has put them in the upper bracket of our GSL style bracket that we're doing for promotions and relegations. If you're not familiar, we are the UK and Ireland's National League. 10 teams compete through Division 1 to go and play a regional promotional series against our friends in Denmark, Sweden, Iceland, Norway, Malta. I always forget one. Did I say
Finland?
Denmark? Finland. Sorry, Finland. I love you, really. We'll see some more of Carvis soon, I'm sure. And against all of those, we will be into the Northern League of Legends Championship with such familiar faces as Verdant, Lost Returns, and everyone else who are excited about this offseason that I think have confirmed some things and no things. So I'm giving no rumors away today. But to get there, you have to get in through the open qualifiers starting soon. There is links on how to join that tournament on our Twitter, in our Discord. I'm sure they're somewhere around this Twitch channel. We'll find them. So you can get involved. You would then qualify, if you've done really well, to Division 2, which would be a tough run. And then at the end of the season, you would play a promotion and relegation into Division 1, which is where we're doing now. And then Division 1 would accrue points over the year. You fight in that regional promotional series to play against the big guns of the Northern region. Luna, I love Northern Europe, but it's really cold. How are you doing?
It is very cold.
It's
I
so
don't like
cold. We had the balmiest December, 12 degrees on Christmas Day. I was having a great time.
Balmy.
It's -1 here in the south. I hate it.
It is also -1 here. We aren't that far from each other. I forget that.
Geography. Geography's horrible. In any case, an icy reception for DMG's comp in game 2 as Lysandra completely shut that one down. I think it was a difficult challenge, and we saw DMG pushed to the absolute limit. They had a pretty comfortable game 1. I think RIZE looked even more comfortable with their composition in game 2. In game 3, what's the big pick? Are we going to see Jinx once again? How are RIZE going to clinch this one out? Because they've pushed back. How do you get it over the line?
If you end up on red side, you need to really think about whether you're going to let which of these power picks you're going to let over the line, right? The Corki proved problematic. The Jinx is comfort for Hawkeye. The Amumu hasn't been picked up once, so you don't need to worry about that. But the Ashe, another thing that can just be picked up on that blue one. There's a lot of things to think about, and it is likely that we see DMG opt for the blue side, although I'll wait for confirmation on that from the helicopter in the sky to be able to shed some light there. If RIZE end up on blue side again, they can do their own thing. Nope, they have switched as expected. So what are you keeping and what are you getting rid of? Karthus, Mundo, Maokai, Ari, Ashe, and Corki ? All taken off the table. If this goes through, you know there's a Jinx first pick for DMG.
Yeah, I think that's quite likely, and I think it aligns with sort of what you were mentioning, where it's contest of picks that have already gone through. We're probably not going to see anything introduced here. I get the feeling everyone wants the Jinx. Everyone wants to think about the top lane once again and wants to get some bruises into hands and snowballs starting rolling. Absolutely no one is surprised with that blue one lock-in.
It's Hawkeye's champion. That's what he's known for.
Stolen away by RIZE in a blue one gambit that worked out last game. Now that RIZE are not in position to first pick that, I do wonder what they're going to go for. The response from DMG was an Aphelios and a scaling jungler. It didn't work out so well. UDD's Ezreal struggled in game 1 up against the Corki. Will not be shy to lock it in again though.
Doesn't struggle as much into the Jinx. You aren't stuck just stat checking up against that Corki. You do have a bit of an easier time into the Jinx. That being said, Jinx is no slouch in the early stages of the game. Neither is Ezreal, but if you do make that misstep, you can be punished for it quite dearly, and you get outscaled quite heavily just through ease of execution. We'll see what they decide to pair up this Ezreal with on these first couple of picks. I'd imagine it'll be a jungler, looking towards something along the lines of the Viego, the Gwen that we saw in games 1 and 2. We continue down that trend of thinking it's like to be some kind of bruiser that has a solid level of carry potential. I'm expecting... maybe not, it'll just be the Cassante lock-in. I'm going to shut up.
Fair enough. Maybe you can kind of see what you're going for. We don't want to commit. We're just reacting from red side, I think, here so far. Wouldn't have minded the Nautilus to go with the Ezreal. I don't know, it does kind of lock you in and can make the lane a little brittle. But the theme so far this series has been 80 carry. The 80 carry untouched just gets away with it. Really does just get away with it. So why not lock on?
Yeah.
I think
speaking of 80 carries that get away with it, there's now a Wukong, which means DDD is not getting away with it. That's not happening. No. I mean,
there's room just enough for a blink there, but you're right, and that is a lot of pressure, and it's probably coming straight at Shmi at DDD's Ezreal. And Bessa. Have you played against this champion much? I don't think it's
I
one
have,
played.
and I didn't think I'd see her, so I didn't learn her ability names. I'm gonna pull up a cheat sheet. 1 second.
I can't tell you the names, but I can tell you the shapes, and I can tell you how many 80 carries have opened all chat after I've gotten a little bit close. This champion is so much fun. I think a reasonable criticism of Ambessa in any draft is she's very feast or famine. You do need to rip your opponent apart, else you do turn into a bit of a struggle bus later on, not able to convert too much. Cassante, it's sort of one of the more middle of the road ones. I think it's still Ambessa favored. You just have that proactivity, not bound to your ultimate necessarily. Walking up into the lane, pretty good. The Udyr, though, does present a target that the Ambessa cannot strike through cleanly, at least without a Black Cleaver and lots of itemization that maybe you'd want to avoid. Really interested to see what Cormac does with this. I've had so much fun with the Korean style, with the Cyclosword. That's the one. It's been a long week, and I've only been back at work.
Well, there is something to be said about this Ambessa not necessarily going top lane.
I think I'm not thinking about that right now.
The Akali ban, it suggests. I'm just saying.
I think we're gonna see a.
Maybe I'm cooking a little bit too much, but
I'm thinking about it in terms of the Orianna reaction, and Orianna like suppresses the Akali really well until later on, where Akali just lets loose in the side and has a great time with it. So maybe that's DMG like overreacting to a single ban. And support's coming through after. I see the karma to a degree. I think with such strong engage tools, you probably didn't need to worry about it so much. It empowers the Udyr even more. I'll permit it. That's fine.
And it's Ezreal karma.
Yeah, I think you just get away with it if you pick engage. Though I really think you do. The way this series has gone, the lock-in on Scooby Dooby Doo. Is that some plant-based food I see there? Nope. Never mind. It's a menagerie.
It's not poison ivy.
It's everything. I'm pretty sure that's going to support. And we'll now have
to
see.
Kecleon.
Yeah, dude. Kecleon. Gen 3 Pokemon. So much fun.
See what the response is. This is flexible. It's the big thing. Like, you have the room to move with this.
Yeah, then support. Nice setup on 4. If I'm DMG
don't hate
here,
the Thresh option here for Gibble.
I like the Hui. I like the big sort of controlling mage. Something has to slow down this Udyr right now. We're calling for Hui in the first game. I think that's a pretty good setup. To complete, we're looking at support. Maybe an eco, maybe something else. Ezreal on the ball. I'm like Nautilus is just. The blinders are coming on. We gotta engage. We gotta go.
I think it's just Thresh because you need something to keep this Jinx safe from the Nico.
I don't mind Thresh.
From the Cassante.
Yeah,
Rakan can do it to a degree, but you are very susceptible because the second you go in, you are not coming back out in this composition. That's the second game of Rakan we've had today where you are giving your life for the cause every single time. It did not work out for RIZE in game number 1. See what the response is. The Nico, a very good lane into the Rakan, so this going into support now makes a lot of sense. We'll see what the response is for Shuame, or if Scooby is just going to pick up a normal support and this Nico go mid lane. If this Nico goes mid lane, however, she's not going to have a fun time. Hui really likes that matchup.
I think RIZE have sort of forced themselves into something that interacts there. Okay, Jame calling for the Nico. We'll take that one over into mid, despite the matchup. But that does leave another Renata Glask. And once again, DMG with another composition that runs forwards, rushes forwards. It is just really the way that stands at long range and sort of measures his approach.
So you say that, but public execution does put you behind your opponent. And the Ambessa is really the main person you're trying to hit with this ultimate. So if you are able to hit somebody who the Renata is body blocking for, say the Ezreal, for example, you have a choice. You send it at the Ambessa, who's currently like slicing your carry to ribbons. You're sending it to the Ambessa, who's slicing ready to carry to ribbons, or you send it at the people who, let's be honest here, it's not going to hit either of these backline carries, and that's the other two people you want it to hit. This Wukong is going to slap the Rakan once and turn back at you and bonk you on the head with a crushing blow. So I'm not sure how I feel about it.
I think holding on for like Jinx on a reset, if your Nico goes down after a big ult, and just getting a pentakill is the funniest outcome. You know, normally you don't get enough time, but if Jinx has got the Runaan's Hurricane as well,
Runaan's Hurricane rockets, and they're all stood on top of her.
Yeah, there's potential. You know, maybe they get Rig's Wukong firing backwards over their own shoulders as well. I think the Renata is really nice at sort of giving DMG that pause that we found in last game. They have to think twice before they engage. You know, it's not quite Lissandra and Renata together, but it's still pretty good. It denied a dive or two onto the bot side and did slow down. Otherwise, what has been DMG favored bot sides twice in a row. Luna, I'm pushing you for a prediction before I give my own. And it's hard.
I believe.
You believe?
I believe. I think it's the first time we're seeing Ambessa. I think this champion has a lot of power behind it. You've got Hawkeye on main. You've got a Hui who's more than happy to sit and rain down hellfire across the enemy team. I've got a more standard jungler than something like the Hecarim. So falling behind in the early game, not necessarily a problem, even if not ideal. So I'm going to say DMG. I think their composition at a core level makes sense in what they want to be doing. There isn't as many tools to counter on the other side this game. And while you do still have the essence of it with Renata Cassante, I don't think it's necessarily going to be as easy. And DMG have shown that if they can get an inch, they will take a mile.
All right. I'm putting on host mode and pretending I don't care about nuance and niche anymore for a moment. There's a player we both coached. I think none of that stuff is going to matter because you're completely correct. And the Renata Glass puts a real big temper on things where it's like, oh, that reset comes through a bit later. Everything matters. But we saw Jinx get away with it last game. And just like straight out of Arcane once again, if there's anyone who's getting away with it on Jinx, it's going to be Hawkeye. I think it's going to be dead close. In my mind, this is so close to a 50-50. Both teams have shown up big. The winners here today will be up against Broad and Friends in our upper bracket match, which I believe is tomorrow. But I'm going to have to check that schedule before we announce that at the end of the day. And whoever goes down to face 200 Bandits is probably going to be looking quite strong. I think the Bandits are going to have to be watching with bated breath for their opponent. We're going to kick it to a break. We will be back with the third and final game of RIZE versus DMG in a few minutes. Oh,
Hello.
welcome back. Welcome back. It's us. It's our faces. And soon, it's going to be game 3. All to do or die. I don't think either. We both predicted DMG because, otherwise I will just force us to say words that either start with R or D and then take it as a prediction. I think we're pretty clear this is going to be close, right? I haven't got the doubts of game 2. It's like, the Lissandra Renard is going to shut out any DMG approach, and that confidence kind of killed them. And we haven't got game 1 where it's like, we're in the even, but the snowball's going one way and it ain't stopping. There were no breaks on that train. This is looking more balanced. I think the team's developing over the series is pretty important. Is there anything you look for in game 3 when it comes down to it? Because while elimination and promotion isn't in this match, it goes a long way towards making it easier.
I think level-headedness. I think we saw DMG start to lose their head a little bit in that last game. Some of the decision-making, some of the calling, maybe not on the same wavelength. We saw Rainet going forwards in a lot of those fights where he really couldn't be stepping forwards, or relying on one of the other members of the team to join him in those front lines, and nobody arrived. So as we head onto the Rift for game number 3, our final game of the day between DMG and RIZE, one to go to qualification, the other to the last chance zone. We will see just who can rise victorious.
You spoke of level-headedness, Luna, as a perfect segue into what comes next. We both worked with Hawkeye. I called him his old ID. We're cool like that. I'd see how many memes I can stuff into a pregame. He's just a chill guy. Brynek on your screen's Jinx, longtime OTP, previously ranked by certain websites as the best in Europe. Do you know what the Hawkeye is, Luna?
I don't.
Did this ever come up? Because in
didn't.
VOD review, every now and again, I'd have to turn to him and say, "You're doing it again. You're doing the Hawkeye." Now, this is balanced, everyone at home, because you might not have been here to see it, but massive praise for this guy in the draft, and we think his Jinx is probably going to be what ends the series. The Hawkeye is being about one distance between, towers. Let's call that a tower's distance. A tower's distance too far up on mid lane and getting killed immediately with no.
You mean like we saw last game?
No, because there was some rhyme and reason to that. This is like on your own, killing the wave. That meme is 3 years out of date, and DMG have got to prove it to me now. That level-headedness, the calmness, the conciseness, the power of coming through in game 3, keeping that level head, keeping everything ship shape and ready. It's what got T1 a world championship. You can critique the play, you can critique the year all you like. When it comes down to clutch time, it's clutch or kick. And it's time to find out who's going to be on the better side of that trade.
Most definitely is. We see pretty standard gaming.
Oh, level 2 versus 1 Cormac. Not casting enough skills in the wave. There was a scary moment there. If Ambessa goes down a level, it's very easy for Kazante to turn it around. You do have to drive and take the lead.
So much ship damage onto this Renata again.
Yeah, it was a pattern last game as well, wasn't it? That was a fake leash into a late arrival into Geibel chomping down on the enemy support. Ezreal, not really the sort of AD carry you want to be directly interacting with. You want to be at arm's length. You want to be sort of setting up and getting a few Qs in before you take a fairer fight. You want the unfairness of the Mystic Shot to come through first. You want to push the wave stack, the passive. Just be a bit mean, and it's not a pattern we've seen here from RIZE's bot lane in games 1 and 3.
No, it really hasn't. Getting out poked the early stage of this game with an Ezreal Renata, not the best situation to be in. And Rakan, not known for being the best at poking either, did pick up an early point in that Gleaming Quill, which also keeps them very healthy, kind of nullifying any poke that the Ezreal could land in the first place prior to having that Sheen. So we'll see if it does mean anything in the early stages of the game. For now, it really is just going to be a much slower early game, as we can see. Cormac moving down to help Rig contest this Scuttle Crab. Ryan Gosling is here as well. Smited away, goes across to Rigged, as taking so much damage from this Udyr Tortaken's here, as well as Shmion's moving to try and get something. Has to flash away as the fear lands from Tortaken. Shmion is now in trouble as Cormac just running them down. A good Bramble Thorn will stop the or Tangling Thorns, I believe. Not quite able to snipe out Ryan Gosling. He's a bit too Ken for that today.
He's very Ken today. I think Joey really we got away with it there as RIZE Gaming. There was a moment where if that did not land, Ambessa covers so much ground so quickly and did have a charge ready to go. I really thought Ambessa could have caught 2 there on her own. You could just see her flickering around the lane. This new champion does so much to cover that ground as Jaume, caught in Geibel's jaws, will flash away.
Nearly taking that severing bolt to the back of the head, as DD now looking to aggress towards Rhynek with that level lead. But not able to land anything just yet.
Alright, more similar to game 2. No one right in position on the dragon as it spawns. Rigged on the way. DDD just pushing forwards. So, with this minion wave stacked up, with flashes missing from RIZE's top side, I wouldn't mind an extended play on the bot lane.
We might be seeing it.
Oh no!
Root goes down. Rhynek able to pick up the first blood on this Jinx. We hyped him up in draft, and he's doing nothing but delivering in the early stages of the game.
RIZE have struggled in lane 3 out of 3 times in the spot lane, and lane's not everything, but it is sure where everything gets started. Rhynek on his signature Jinx, setting up for Geibel, sort of getting it all done. The absolute package.
We've not seen first blood come off of Shmion as well.
I know, Cormac was really trying, right?
Wanted to make it 3 for 3.
And then the junglers had to go and take some crabs. It was a real struggle, and they got away. They just about made it out of there. Ward's down here. Scooby-Doo coming up once again. The contest on these grubs from RIZE feature all 3 games. They've found their timing. Rigged goes to half. But both teams present and waiting and holding. And with K'Sante still being present on the minion wave, there's a little bit of time that DMG can make a move in.
Certainly is. We see Tour Taken moving up as well. Ryan Gosling just hovering, trying to find a way in. Smite comes down onto the first one in favor of DMG. Now they're just playing at the space game. Joame moving up as well as the next one should go across as Cormac looking to pick it up is able to find it rigged. Jumping forwards onto Ryan Gosling as a beautiful...
Oh!
The all-out pulls him out of the Pop Blossom! Cormac's able to get out with an arm and a leg still intact off of the anti-synergy coming through from RIZE there, and they just back away. They've got no cooldowns left, but they know that, and DMG are on the chase. Gibble finds the grand entrance as Cormac will pick up his first of the game onto Shmion, and the rest of RIZE are left running. As Gibble's looking to collapse on them. Tortaken is here as well. The root does land. All three grubs go across to the side of DMG. And what looked like it could be a great Pot Blossom and the spiraling despair to end them all is pulled away from the team and out of the ultimate by the all-out.
Huge struggle there. And it is a despair, the anti-synergy. This is just a replay of the exit through mid lane. Geibel looking for something here, but 2v3 is still a little much, even if Scooby-Doo is still only level 3 himself. That's the snowball I think Cormac wanted to get going. And the Ambessa Recondio covering so much distance. We'll have to keep an eye out for that again. Really, really fun to watch how far these two can dive when everything chains up, when the players line everything up perfectly. And in the meantime, it looks like Rhynek has continued to farm away and be more of a menace. Dragon on the cards, both junglers in this lower quadrant. Looks like Ryan Gosling wants no part of that for now.
The bot lane in such a sorry state. It is to be expected. Ezreal is good at the early boxing, but not when the Jinx has a slight lead on him. Doesn't have the sheen either, and doesn't have the room and inventory for it, which is the bigger problem. Ezreal relying so much on this item makes it very hard to take these early skirmishes. We can see pings coming down just to get some vision, just to check, to see if this is on the cards.
Haven't seen a lot of movement out of mid lane so far. Would you say this is a feature of sort of Nico in this lane? Normally she'll have wanted to try and got away and got into a side by now. Is the
It's what Hwei can do.
Yeah, is just efficient enough at getting those minions done?
Yeah. I mean, level 1, your QE is incredible, and it just gets better as you level it and as you pick up those items. That lost chapter means you can just spam out on the wave so effectively. And you clear waves so fast. I mean, as someone who plays this champion bot lane for good reason, he's not fair.
It's really simplified this sort of entry into the mid game now.
Cormac looking to be collapsed on though by Matt and Shmion, but Ambessa's just so mobile.
Yeah, no flash, no problem. As soon as you start that first Q on the wave, the second part of it is such long range. Even though Cormac's been picked here, I think he's walking this one off.
I think he might be, if he can get a little bit more space. Nope, not going to happen. Enough damage between the two of them to allow for that kill to go across. It is incredibly hard, but we see an engage onto the Renata. A good flash away means the rocket won't kill. But it was so close.
Plenty of pressure applied. Cormac does fall in the top side. Unfortunately, just a little too close. I think we can praise Shmion for lighting up the all-out for maximum. Pull the Ambessa back into lane angling. And with that, RIZE stabilized slightly. You know, they've fallen down a little more in bot lane. It hasn't let DMG get a base off, but it's not the big swing. The dragon has not fallen, and instead we're looking up towards these grubs respawning, I think, in about a minute's time, and Geibel's going to get started on that one early. So there's sort of a nullification of Summoner's Burnt and Ultimate's used in the bot lane.
Yeah. For now, kind of just happy to do their thing. Cormac still trading aggressively on Shmion. The choice to take Aftershock, actually a lot smarter than I gave credit for. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be taking burst trades. You want to just be surviving the initial burst.
It is how I've been playing the champion for quite a while. I think it's much stronger when you have those nastier spikes. You occasionally get something more reminiscent of a pre-nerf Cassante, where you just sort of have this moment where your opponent's health just dips by half. It's really quite nasty. And sort of hovering in for your grasp autos and trying to be efficient with that rune just doesn't quite hit as hard as it used to. This is RIZE Gaming, controlling the river, moving in first. They got their numbers up, but Geibel's arrived, and the rest of DMG are on their way.
The pullback from something there onto Joame forces him to take the grand entrance, forces the flash away. Rigter's gone in, lands a Cyclone, public execution, lands onto Ryan Gosling, and while the Berserk only tags onto one, it does not matter. The Udyr falls, the pop bottom lands, but it's only onto one. It's only onto the Rakan, and Shmeon's doing what he can, but Shmeon cannot do much in this situation. Everybody stacking together. In comes the Lightning Bolt, and down goes the Cassante in the bot side. There's a solo kill for DDD onto Ryan, a little bit too far forwards on his own, but it will be the first time all series long DMG can pick up enough grubs to get a Void Might.
They will have it. The Kevins will support them. Norbot is ready. Norbot is here to help. And Rhynek maybe going a little too far, feeling it a little too much. I think that is a decent placement there. Trying to rely on the utility of the Jinx too much. Really nice flash ultimate redirect. But it's too much when the Ezreal has landed the empowered Arcane Shift and has that line in forwards.
Certainly is. This first dragon now going to be the point of contention. Rigged, nowhere close. No Jinx rocket either, so a steal. Not particularly on the cards, although they are dragging this out a little longer than they otherwise would, which means Rigged could have the opportunity to go in.
Way.
He does look for it. The smite doesn't go down quick enough, and it's stolen away by Rigged. Ryan Gosling, you were him.
Call it the Blade Runner because he left just a sliver alive there. 99, slightly early, trying to time it with the burn from the Phoenix Dance. I think the bot lane of DMG will just be able to walk off the revenge play. Nico in the river, but they are warned well in advance. Oh, Ryan, the replicant was the dragon all along. Just a bit too much. The pressure starting to crack on Rize's side.
Well, not a much better situation for DMG.
Yeah, that's... You know, that the overextension, you could argue, around the Herald, not the Herald, the Kevins, and them falling in bot lane should have awarded Rise the space, and they just weren't quite able to use it.
Okay, able to get it at all. And now we fall into another lull state with 30 seconds on this Herald, give or take.
I must admit, we saw, just after that Dragon there, we saw a little moment, and it highlighted, ultimate's bird in top format. I think you're losing this one, buddy, but maybe not. Oh, wow. I think that was
a really nice cancel.
A fresh Eclipse proc plus the shield, just differential in the health there. Just enough. Rhynek, no mana. Cormac too deep.
He covers so much ground.
The movement, the absolute movement. I think he's going to fall here eventually, but a strong showing in the 2v1. DMG, a little bit of a repeat here as the bailout gets DDD away. A little bit too much confidence once again as the gold swings back. Two takedowns across the map? 2 lanes, 2 takedowns, and the Herald. There we go. That's the extra point of value in my brain and inside how my psychology works. Oh man, that's too much. Rhynek does not have the mana. Takes the tower shot as well. And even though the Void might sponge the shot.
Kevins! Norberts did it!
Oh, just the defense. Just a little too much. Rigged really thought that was going through and did actually get the kill for the reset over the top. Rough stuff.
I love how 2 Norberts spawned after they saved both Rhynek and Gibble.
Yeah, that was... I think one might have been an auto attack, but either way, that's...
It was. One was an auto attack onto it and the other one blocked a Q.
Oh man. Alright, Nobot was here to help, but I'm afraid, spoiler alert, the train was still hanging off the side of the cliff. DDD doing so much on this Ezreal. Manamune still not complete, so we will see a slightly further spike here. And I think you spoke of Yuntal slightly earlier, Luna. It's not the heaviest spike on its own. We're looking deeper, we're looking later.
Much better in games where you do just get to hit targets, though. And in this game, you are definitely hitting. Cassante, Udyr frontline means you get to just rinse through auto attacks. You can make full use of that flurry passive. Speaking of Udyr, shifting in towards this bottom side. Rigged is in the area. Rhynek can smell something is fishy. Yeah, he's going to back up to safety. Joame moving down as well. This is what they wanted to do. Overload the bottom side. And as Rigged is stepping forward to allow Rhynek the chance to step back in. they're able to dissuade anything major from happening.
It's a lot of tower chip, and I think RIZE are sort of done with this lane for now. They want to get that Ezreal moving out across the map. They will keep playing for this in the 3v3. Jame did walk all the way back up to mid. Cormac and Shmion are going to hit each other. I think the value proposition of Ambessa's passive with the Eclipse now doing a little too much. You see Shmion's health bleeding out even further after the play. You have to be so careful taking those short trades against Ambessa where she can weave in and out, do so much. Not a lot of counterplay to that bottom side, except that Rigged got back out on the map slightly quicker. But Ryan Gosling is driving through his camps much faster, so not a whole lot in exchange.
Just a bit of back and forth, saving this tower for now. But that may not last for too long as Riggs shifting up towards this top side, looking for a potential dive onto Shmion.
Not long
Can't
before
land onto
Dragon.
Cormac.
This
A
is a
flash
risky
allows
play.
for the dive under tower, and it's a solo kill for Shmion. Rigged is here, but might not have the damage. Jumped under the tower again, doesn't take the aggro. Shmion jumping forwards, looking for this 1v2 double. Not able to find it as Ryan Gosling is here. Should be able to finish Rigged off. The teleport coming in from Tor taking the shield coming through from the pool of visions allows for Rigged to get away with his life. Sorry, pool of reflections. It's not visions. We are not looking at Swain. The bot lane tower will fall in the meantime, though, with the cover and safety of Rigged's unknown whereabouts gone. We are seeing RIZE really step into their element.
Yeah, a massive extended win for RIZE there. You might be like, oh, but they didn't get the kill on top side. Shmion reversed that dive. Cormac really thought that Rigged would just be coming smooth and straight in, but that is a lot of tower and a lot of Cassante to chew through, especially with the Unending Nightmare. It's best to generally spend as little time. If you do reduce that healing by 1 tick, it is a big deal in front of the Cassante. And with it, the Dragon's still up. That was the Dragon DMG had a line in on. They let their bot lane lose the tier 1. They got pushed back. Tortaken had to teleport top. Rigged had to expend his flash and time top lane. It's a massive missed opportunity. Cormac still will be able to stand up in this 1 versus 1. Wouldn't mind seeing some anti-heal come through for him soon. But he will be able to make the top of Shmion's health bar disappear quite effectively. 106 healing per tick now. You can't take extended trades in front of this Cassante.
Really can't have to take the short burstier ones. That's not really what Ambessa wants to do. She wants to cycle her abilities constantly. Keep her energy up, but it makes it really difficult. This dragon is started up by the side of RIZE Gaming. You can see Rigged doing the red buff for now. Vision not 100% there. Gibble looking for something. We're going over the back of the pit. 3,000 health still left on this objective. He's gone in a little bit too early. And with no other way to get back in, he has to jump back out, which means this objective should just be given across. Jinx Rocket a little bit too late. Goes flying past the faces of everybody, whizzing. You hear a rocket pass your ear.
We are seeing a sort of increase in sort of plays resulting from tension, I think, rather than good decisions. I think DMG should have just walked the mid tower down there instead of trying to line up over the back wall with Ryan Exalt and escorting him in and not being on his own and catching a wave somewhere else. The bigger objectives are in play now. This Ezreal is coming up onto 2 items where he starts to get a little bit spiky. And with it, the Herald in mid as well. There isn't a lot of response here. There's just killing minions. There is not a play to be made. With how strong everyone is, can't help but feel it's a bit of a missed opportunity. They will at least keep the tower down with the smite and Rigged coming through to reinforce.
Well, we've got Rigged walking straight first, head first into this Udyr. Makes it very hard to get any purchase in the river, which is the safety that this bot lane for DMG want. Stops DDD being able to do this so effectively, just jumping forwards and being a nuisance.
Blue buff coming through would be huge for Rhynek here. He's expending a lot of mana to try and stay even with DDD, and it is working, but not truly sustainable. Pick starts to come through, but Ryan Gosling drift his way out of there so fast on the Udyr and starting to get over the threshold where I think DMG are going to be comfortably able to kill the Udyr.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw that Gibble potentially wanted to look for something there. Wasn't quite able to find the angle onto the Renata as he wanted. Did take that handshake to the face off the back of a boar stance slam. Or a ram stance slam, sorry. Really stopping this Rakan dead in his tracks. And point and click CC is the worst enemy of this champion. So really, I'd imagine we're going to see that a lot more as this game goes on.
All right. Wave comes into mid once again. DDD chipping away at these towers as DMG try and sort of resist the assault has been the pattern of play for the last 10 minutes or so. RIZE are taking it slower this game. They're not rushing forwards. They're not giving DMG a chance to reverse an overeager engage or to sort of set their own pace like game one. It's looking pretty good for them right now. We sort of thought if this game goes in the middle, RIZE's composition might be able to get the 2-3 team fights in a row you need to push over potentially the Baron or a bit of the base and then convert into a win. I'm a little dubious right now that there's going to be an intense Baron play in the next few seconds, but they have earned their position in this mid game well and truly.
Certainly have. We see a bit of a lull state now, the objective up this Baron, and neither team particularly enthused about taking it super early on. You can see it's just mage on mage in the bot lane, just clearing waves back and forth and back and forth. Jinx, 2 items now, is starting to get strong. Needs a little bit more attack speed, but once you're there, you can look towards your options. Renek looking to move up towards this top side, but we can see the entirety of RIZE on the move as well.
It's a tier 1, Dan. Not an opportunity to snowball it forwards with the Jinx. That'd be an extra reach, and Renek so alone.
Oh, it tagged!
Oh,
Not quite dead, though.
excellent.
Very
play.
close, as we see a lot of committal onto the AD carry there.
It's,
Bated breath.
some of the
And
spells
little
gone.
words to be said.
Surviving just within the locket threshold, I think. So credit, I think, to Geibel there, burning the heal as well. It is play up in front of the Baron now, and checking into this RIZE squad is difficult. They've got a lot of long-range tools, but the penalty for being caught, rather severe. So the Baron itself looming. A little bit of communication. RIZE swapping their lane as they're walking them back in front, trying to get Xiaomei onto this next item. Is currently holding the Seekers and the Void Crystal. Wants to convert one of those over before the next fight, ideally.
Likely the Void Staff, Fiendish Codex in inventory.
Yeah, we'll be seeing the Crypt Bloom coming through for sure. Just getting a little bit of healing out of that, keeping your tanks going. So valuable, especially when they're on top of the opponents you're looking to kill. Geibel looking to try and twist a 1v1 here, but Shmion has a huge health bar.
Certainly does. Gibble here as well as the all-out comes in, and suddenly with the resistances sundered away, Ryan Gosling comes in. Public Execution lands in onto the Udyr, and I don't think that's the target. You were looking for a TP coming in from Drame as well. The stun comes in onto Cormac. Cormac taking so much damage, not able to get the first kill. He's able to find Renek on the other side of the map, and Gibble will get locked up as well. That's 2 fallen on the top side, 1 fallen in the river, and now Tortaken has to try and get away, but 4 members strong and a slowing Cryo Phoenix spells the end, and 4 members fall for no real reason. The Baron's on the cards, and while they may be getting a consolation prize for Dragon, RIZE have risen to the occasion.
DMG just look a little disorganized right now. Rigged was setting up for Dragon, probably talking about it. Teleports in, overextension in the top side. They're member down, and RIZE hold on and turn around the fight as Tortaken, unfortunately, put his ultimate between 2 goalposts, binding onto nothing, adding no extra damage. The Baron will fall. Shmion going to try and compete with Rigged here. If the smite goes wide,
Oh, there's a Jinx rocket onto Joame.
Little consolation prize. Rigged. We'll pick up the second dragon. And one back is nice, but the Jinx rocket does mean you're without that for a few extra minutes now. Cormac and Geibel start this fight off. This is the sort of thing you want to get a teleport out and walk away from. And unfortunately, extend a little too far. Ryan Gosling walks it in. I think the blue teleport actually comes through first for the reinforcements. That's your too many eggs in the basket. Maybe slightly sunk cost fallacy here. And a red teleport in lands a fantastic Pot Blossom, preventing the further walking forwards, even if it doesn't catch anything itself. And Tortaken, the final prize here for RIZE before the Baron and the conversion.
We see a big collapse onto Shmion in the picture-in-picture as well. It's claim that kill.
Though, and Renek is not picking up kill credit at this stage. It's really tough. I'm not sure worth it. Tier 2 for Tier 1, mid slightly more valuable in this setup where DMG will have to go out and check into the threat of a unit, threat of Nika in their own jungle. But that's minutes away. It's a bit intangible.
Not going to be too upset with it, though. You are taking something back. Not quite a big enough gold lead for objective bounties, however. DMG able to keep this gold lead relatively close. Only sitting about 3,000 gold down at present.
All right. The thing we're looking for now. We're starting to get deeper into the game. Health pool's starting to get a bit larger. DDD, not going to deal that much more damage from here on out. The Ezreal has his 3 items. He will absolutely wreck face if anyone takes more than a few shots now, but he is not the quickest time to kill AD carry pretty much ever in any meta. Rhynek will start to take over from 3 items. Loads of crit chance coming through. What do you complete this with, Luna? You got the crit chance, the crit damage. Is it more crit?
It is. And I'm thinking it might just be a Lord Dominic's regards. And then you look towards your Zeal item to really round it out.
Mm.
Looking at the gold, it's pretty close across the map. The biggest lead being about 3,000 gold in the jungle. Which explains where this lead really is coming from for RIZE. It is Ryan Gosling.
I'm having too much of a time to try and figure out which Ryan Gosling movie best fits the wealth disparity going on right here. We say rigged is off in La La Land. There we go. That's a pun. I am struggling slightly, audience, but what is not struggling right now is RIZE's efforts to bow this tower down. The Baron resisting Tortaken's ability to clear the wave quite effectively. I think I'll take half of a 1 wave. Ryan Gosling's so healthy that they could probably just give this a go. Tortaken going low. It's a bit of an ambitious recall, though.
Trying to find something. As the Baron has ran out now. It'll be now that they concede the tower.
Will fall down. More standing gold taken away into the pockets of RIZE. And I suppose if there is anything that DMG can sort of rely back on, is that eventually, if they do manage to win a fight, they will barrel up mid, take 3 towers immediately, and swing a bunch of that gold back. But it is not a done deal. It is not a sure thing. Looks like Rhynek does have that last whisper in pocket. The Lord Dom's regard.
There it is.
Hey, all right.
3 items on Jinx.
Apiece.
You don't have a huge amount of attack speed, lacking a Zeal item, but that's not
Mm.
necessarily the end of the world because you've got Flurry, you've got your passive, the revved up, and of course you've got that Get Excited. So attack speed is not something that Jinx is going to be wanting for long. You can round this out with a PD or a Runans. You can look to go into a Bloodthirster on 4 and delay that last crit item until 5. Something tells me we're going to be seeing a Zeal item on 4.
Yeah, most likely. And Frozen Heart. Only seconds away for DDD as well. So Israel starting to index into things aren't direct damage. Will contribute through the mana immune, but not quite the same. Tortaken holding teleport here. Dragon the focus for both of these teams. 30 seconds on the map. A quick conversion into Baron. A further 30 seconds after would be great. But for now, the bottom river, the domain of RIZE, as they are pinging down onto this bot side. Cormac is up on the wave, trying to get that sorted before he's interfered with.
He's going to be interfered with here as rigged, going to get jumped on by Ryan Gosling. The Unstoppable comes in, but the stun's the only thing that's going to land. Rhynek taking a lot of damage in this mid lane from DDD, however.
I think if a True Shot Barrage were up, DDD would be angling deeply for this. Instead, Ryan Gosling continuing to stack up his Heartsteel, continuing to be a menace, continuing to secure towers for his team.
Certainly is. We can see Gibble looking for something as Cormac jumps forwards. There's the quickness coming in. The rocket lands. Spiraling Despair onto Shmion. Public Execution lands onto Scooby on the backline. Another knockup lands onto 3. But the damage, it's just not there. There's no Jinx. She's still walking. DDD has arrived. Cormac will be the first one to fall. Ryan Gosling going low, but it's not enough. A beautiful Pop Blossom tags onto Tortaken, and they found their way onto Rhynek. It's a clean ace for the side of RIZE Gaming. It's a quadra kill for Ryan Gosling, and there's nothing left standing between them and their base. And they have risen to new heights. They look so poor in game number 1. But they're the ones heading to qualification against Broughton Friends. They're the ones that say we deserve to be in Division 1, not you. And they have proven it back to back in games. Off the back of their jungler, they've risen to new heights. And they take game number 3.
From difficult starts, game 1 was pretty rough and tumble. Members of RIZE Gaming have done it sorted it out, kept the draft together in game 2. That was a well executed plan. And here in game 3, they've gone over the top, unkillable in setup, and able to get it done. Congratulations. Rise Gaming will face Brod and Friends as he scrambles for the timetable. I do have it written down. Round 2 will continue tomorrow night, 3rd of January, with 200 Bandits versus DMG Esports. And the day after, our upper bracket, the qualification match, this Saturday, all at 6 GMT between Brod and Friends and Rise Gaming. Luna, that's I'm not gonna lie, that's not what I expected. I didn't think
No,
that
it's
was
not
going to
what
be
I
the
was.
way, but we were joking at the top of the show about how tank everything just seems to clatter your opponents and just play PV a little better at the moment. And Rise seemingly took advantage of that.
They absolutely did, and it does lead to be said. Over the next 2 days, one will be ascending and one will be falling to Division 1 and 2 respectively. We'll see who those are and who can give themselves that second wind. But good lord, if we see if we have what 4 days, 5 days of tanks, it's at that point just usher the new season in
We're
already.
just gonna have to tank it. It's just the way forwards. Get some. Come on, that was sitting there. I hope you've had fun watching tonight. We will be seeing more of Rise and more of DMG in the days to come. If you haven't already, drop us a follow. We'll be seeing plenty of you this weekend from Luna and myself, the Four Nations. Thank you so much for watching. 2025 is going to be an excellent year. What a way to get it started. We'll be seeing you next time tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Good night.